and welcome to our coverage, the chessbrah streaming of the World Cup. We are into round five, the quarterfinals, the Elite Eight, and we are about to start this fifth round. And the players, as usual, will play two games of classical chess. The first game of classical chess is about to start, and I am in the wrong screen, Eric. I'm your analyst, Yasser Seirawan, along with Eric Hansen. Eric, let me just see. Why don't I have? There you go. I'm up with you.
You're up with me? Okay, I got all four boards pulled up. Levon Aronian against Ivanchuk, Fedosiev against Wesley So, Richard Rapport against Ding Li Ren, and Peter Sidler against MVL.
Exactly. Well, one bracket, I like Peter Spidler's comment. It was something like, what did he think about his position in the World Cup and so on? And he said, "Can I change brackets?" Peter Spidler versus MVL is in the same bracket, I believe, as Levon Aronian and Vasily Ivanchuk. So the winner of the MVL match will face the winner of Levon and Ivanchuk. So, welcome everybody to the show. This is great. We're past the halfway stage, and it's been a long event already for us, eh, Eric?
Yeah, you can. I think every day on video I'm starting to look a bit more fatigued, but you're looking fresh, Yasser. It's been a long
Well,
event. No, without a doubt.
well, it may be the time zones. I, of course, am online from my home here in Hilversum, Holland, where it's 1:03 p.m. You're in Montreal at 7:03 a.m. So I think you have a right to be dragging.
Yeah, no, this is the. I was gonna say the craziest decision I think I've made. It reminds me when I moved to Spain from North America to be a chess professional. I moved
Right.
with Amon, and Robin also joined in our apartment in Valencia, and we would go to bed at 7 a.m. Without a doubt. I mean, that was our routine. That we adjusted very quickly to the Spanish
Way of
culture,
life.
the nightlife, the culture, and to be waking up for 7 a.m. I'm a lot. I'm a guy who's a lot closer to going to bed at 7 a.m. than somebody who's waking up at 7 a.m. I'm closer to that other side of the spectrum.
Very cool. I remember one year I had I played in a tournament in Mar del Plata, Argentina, and I had gone to the casino. I play blackjack, but perfect basic, so I don't give the house too much of an edge. And I walked back to my hotel, and I was really surprised how many people were walking against me. I was against the flow of traffic. I was wondering what the heck is going on. It was 8 a.m. and people were going to work. I just been at the casino the whole night, and somehow I had, got into the flow of the Argentine life's rhythms, and their late night, or early morning, if you want to put it that way. Okay, so Bishop G2, an invitation to a Catalan. Um, in this exact position with the pawn still on D4,
You mean
capturing,
D2 or
yeah, pardon me, on D2, capturing on C4 somehow is a little bit more attractive. The idea is that you can maybe get in a C7, C5, and an A7, A6 early. So, for example, I think after takes, white is not normally going for the queen A4 check, but just to put it on the board for a second, queen A4 check, knight D7, queen takes, C4, C5. Yeah. Knight F3. What else are you supposed to do? A6, right?
oh, this a move, or do I have the move order messed up? Okay, that works.
Uh, well, if you play D6, Knight D4,
I think I was trying to remember some theory actually.
you
Yeah,
were
and it goes like
confused.
this.
And this is all latest and greatest. Queen drops back, I
No,
suppose.
no,
Queen
no, not.
C6.
This isn't new theory or anything.
Oh, this is
I
just
haven't.
the way.
This is just a line that I believe I've seen that just works tactically. But
Yeah.
do you see
And
what I mean?
yes. Oh, I definitely get it. Yeah. Okay. That's another
It's a
line,
line.
right?
No, it's just a
B
line that I've seen, but
B6.
it took me few
Relying on
blinks to look at it when I first like b6 is like the last move you play
right.
against this, but it actually yeah. So a6. So sorry, knight f3.
Yeah.
Oh,
Knight f3.
you did c6. So this is
He
on the
did
board,
C6.
but Vasil played c6. One player, Yasser, you can't prepare for is Vasil. No.
No, for sure. It's 100%. You have no idea what he's going to do. Uh, and just the fact that the pawn isn't already on d4 black, th- there's reasons why on move 3, if you're going to play this line, what did they call it? The open Catalan with d takes c4. You're more attracted to do it when the pawn is on d2 than on d4.
The
But in the
one
game he played,
downside though would
yeah,
be that there's no bishop b4 check lines, right?
yeah. Well, you got to give and get, right? But okay, he played c6, and there are also reasons why he may find this line attractive. Because after queen takes c4, what do you think about the quick b5?
I think that's the only justification to play c6.
Right.
Otherwise, the other
Well,
lines.
the okay, c5 is also uh, doable, right?
But then the other line is if I'm gonna play c5, I'm gonna do the other line.
Well, the difference being that in one line your knight is on d7, and the other line, if you play c5 right here, right now, uh, knight f3, your knight can go to c6. You know, half a dozen of one, six of the other, right? Yeah, knight f6. Uh, I'm I'm going to wait for knight f3 before playing knight c6, just because I don't want to see a bishop takes c6 uh, variation. Castles, right? Okay.
Isn't this? I mean,
I
if you're gonna take on c4, don't you want to play a bit of a
I want
different
to play.
structure?
Well, I'm not sure. I want to play a6 here. As usual, I'm aiming for b5 and bishop b7 after 8 6.
But that's what I mean. In the a6 b5 lines, I often want my knight on d7 to not block my
Right.
bishop.
Uh, yeah, exactly. I'm a more of a Queen's Gambit accepted kind of guy myself, and I prefer the knight on d7.
So I mean, yeah, I don't know. C5 to me seems, but
So,
maybe it is a move. It just seems like a worse version than
okay.
a potential.
So,
You're paying for one move to put a knight on c6. You're paying a
right.
move to because you're spending two
You're
moves to
going,
get. Whereas
right,
none of the other lines waste time. Black gets very active right away in the other lines, but we'll see.
right, right. So then the point here is b5. I think we both are attracted to this move at this exact moment. And just for our viewers, let's take a look at b5, bishop takes c6 check, and why black might be happy. Yes. Now, my understanding is that this position is great for black because of the bishop on c1. The idea is if you go queen g2, rook c8, and you've got an issue with the bishop on c1. It's kind of funny. Knight c3 walks into b4, and oopsie daisy, you got to go all the way back to d1. So normally speaking, my understanding is that you have to play queen c2 after bishop d7, and then after rook c8, queen d1. It's sort of like black has given up a pawn, but all of white's pieces are still on the first rank, and after bishop c6 is just considered great play for black.
That makes a lot of sense. This is a
Right.
position.
Nobody would sign up for his white.
So we have b5,
Uh,
bishop b7 on the board. I guess, what's becoming apparent is this is a flexible move order for white and or black, and there are a lot of options to proceed when you don't push the pawn on d4.
uh,
Like,
I think it's nicer for black when the pawn is already on d4. It makes it a little bit more awkward to get in the freeing break c5. With the pawn still on d2, you can play c5 and it's pretty mm, comfortable. So bishop b7, right?
hmm
And then the point is a move like knight f3, which is something you really want to play to get in d4. Black, for example, could play c5 at once, and you, the theory, the theoreticians, if you will say that black, by neutralizing the long diagonal, is pretty close to equality, if not there already. Yep, yep. I, uh, Actually, I believe it's Levon of all people who have reached the position after a4, queen b6, queen b3 in oh no, I think he takes. How do you do it? There's some move order where white does provoke b4.
that's one of the main benefits of keeping the pawn here I've seen is if
Yeah,
you can get b4 in, then instead of the d4 break, white plays for b3 and just
right.
uses the c4 square for his pieces, and also plays against the c5 pawn, and that's a position very
Exactly.
attractive to English players because you don't give black the
R-
same counterplay.
exactly. Exactly.
Just to show an
So,
example, it would just be
yeah,
something like this where I don't need this d4 break. I
b4.
have a
Right.
great outpost here, and I can
Mm-hmm.
develop and put some pressure here. Maybe d4 later, but white gets
Yeah.
all the light squares.
Right. So knight f3. Okay. So now he's basically, it's a challenge because if what black doesn't play c5, white wants to castle and play d4 himself and try to make it more difficult for black to play c5. All right. Shall we take a walk around the stage and see what other positions are?
Well, what you have here is two of the top players
Well,
in the world playing blitz as well. Yasser, Ian Nepomniachtchi against Hikaru Nakamura. So, when
no
you said
kidding.
let's take a walk around,
Walk around the
we've en-
stage.
we've
They have
encountered
no
uh,
idea.
we've encountered some blitz.
Outstanding.
Um, I wanted to, as we go to another game between Fedosev and Wesiso, for new viewers, just to explain where
Yes.
we are. This is the quarterfinals. 128 players started the World Cup. There only 8 remain. It's 2 game matches. You play once with white, once with black. If it's still tied after that, there's a day for tie breaks where the time controls get sped up and until you find a winner. So there's 8 players
Exactly.
remaining. The players are already up $25,000 at this point. I think if you get eliminated, it's 25 or $40,000.
Hmm.
It's more than any other event, most like for most of the players.
Yes.
And we have 7 countries, 8 players, and the final two, the World Cup titles at stake, which is 120,000, but most importantly, a chance at the World Championship by advancing to the candidates, which is like a closed 8 player event where they find a essentially suitable challenger to play a match against reigning world champion Magnus Carlsen.
Exactly. So for all of these professionals in the Elite Eight, um, the 120,000 that you win for winning the World Cup is super, super nice, and the 80,000 you earn for being runner up, once again, super, super nice. But it's those 2 spots that the finalists both get for the candidates that's really the big prize. Well, Peter Svidler, MVL. Um, this is a position that I played uh, very often as white. I remember a lot of games. One game in particular comes forcibly to mind was my game against Adam Kolegowski. He was a grandmaster from Poland, and I introduced the novelty B4.
You
You
introduced
spied
B4,
it right
Yasser?
away.
You
Yeah,
introduced B4?
exactly. I sure did. And again,
Whoa, that's the main
yeah.
line. That's the main line
Yeah, well,
that
there
I've
you
seen.
go. Yeah, B4, and as I recall the game, he took on B4. I played knight D5. He played G6, maybe not the best move. I went bishop B2, bishop G7. I took his bishop and I played D4, and I won a very nice game. Something like this. But now the latest thing is that B4, um, they do a different thing now. I think they take, I go knight D5, and they've got a very tricky move here. What do they do that's really
It's
clever?
not knight c6,
I think it's knight
and then after
C6.
d4, then they go g6.
Yeah, they do a clever move order to avoid allowing white this early trade of bishops. And now the theory seems a little bit unsettled. It's not such a clear advantage for the first player. But we're going to have to rely upon our audience to um, to inform us uh, the current status of a theory.
I remember analyzing it uh, 3 years ago, quite
3 years ago,
extensively. Yeah.
were you going to play it for the white side or the black side,
Uh,
though?
it comes from, well, both. Because as a Grudenfeld player,
Both.
I'm a
Yeah.
Grunfeld player, and a lot of Grunfeld players like MVL or even Peter, are in limbo against C4, yeah, as to what they have options, but you don't get a Grunfeld. But for example, these days, we're seeing a lot, even E3 happen or G3, and you
Right.
get some similar structures. I mean,
Right.
it's a natural move order to play this D5 for a Grunfeld player. So as black, but also as white. I play C4 occasionally, but it was just to figure out. Oh, I've seen this line so many times. It's very sharp. What's the status? It seems like one of
Right.
the critical lines here. Nepo, who was playing Blitz, is plays this line as
Right.
well quite a bit.
N- the also old think was on the move six, bishop C4.
hmm
In those days, my days, in my day, Michael Tall, especially, he liked bishop E6 in this exact position for black. Bishop takes E6, knight D3 check, king F1. Now you can't go to E2 because of knight F4 check, and knight takes E6, and black is very happy. So he has to take. So uh, black's pawns are gummied up on the E file, and Batal had a very clear idea. He wanted to play C4 and Queen B6. That was so like Knight G5 is a bad move for those types of reasons, where C4, Knight takes E6, Queen B6 is an accident. Oops, you don't want to do this um, thing. And he had some successes as black, but eventually it was discovered um, that white had ways of getting an advantage against bishop e6. So this became the main line. I played b4. It looks like Peter has played h4.
hmm
Okay, that move in my view is just aimed at against g6. You want to play h5 and pretend that the fact that you lost the right to castle is no consequence.
Is knight g5 also? Yeah. So here h5, that's for sure. But black has
Right.
this move that's
Knight
almost
c6, yeah.
always going to be played.
It's a
Natural
good
fights for
move
d4.
in
It's a good
like
move that you want to use up. And
exactly.
now I'm trying to figure out what the plan is. Is it because
Knight
this
g5. Let's
knight
go.
g5? Yeah,
Knight d4.
I don't know if I should be
I
playing
don't
knight
know.
d4.
I don't know either. Knight d4, d3. And maybe it's just irritating that this knight is on h.
Well, you want.
is on g5. I don't know. Knight takes e6. I assume bishop takes, yes, knight and bishop here. And I don't know, g6 is, let's just, if you get to play bishop g7 and castle, you'll be a happy camper. Queen a4 check
Is
is always
h5?
kind of an, yeah.
Or you play g5 and you claim it's okay.
Yeah, no, I'm going to play g5 and claim it's okay for sure. Yeah. And then I got to play knight d4.
Or knight c6. Yeah. Yeah, it gets closed off. I mean, this is still playable for white, but
Hard to say if he has an
hard
edge,
to
right?
say. Yeah, hard to say.
You know, if I'm going to play knight g5, I'm going to wait for the move g6. Let's go back a moment. Let's start with d3. Now I'm hoping knight d4 is not a good move because of knight takes, well, maybe it's a good move. I was going to say because of knight takes h5. I'm not sure what else to do with white. Now the idea is, okay, I ruled out g6, but, oh, you want to do that.
I want to
Okay.
provoke some structure like this, which may actually
Okay.
not favor white, but I wasn't sure if I can just play around this.
Makes sense. I was thinking that white was going to play queen g4 just to be annoying. And
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how are you supposed to develop your king side now?
Well, I'm not gonna rush into it. I'm probably gonna place my bishop on c6, then maybe queen f6, and
Okay.
I'm gonna retain the option of also castling
Flexibility,
queenside.
right.
Because to me, I
Okay.
haven't made, yeah, that's
Well, you haven't done anything
too stupid.
wrong. Yeah. Too stupid. I know it's early in the morning, Montreal time, but nothing too stupid, which is good. Okay, I'm not sure exactly because this move h4 is fresh to me. I'm not
Well, you
sure.
have to justify h4. So what you've done
Right.
here makes some sense, and you've clamped down on the king side.
I still have some difficulties fully comprehending this move. Shall we turn to the game, to the match of Wesley So and Vladimir Wesley Black? Wesley, inspired maybe by his opponents to be playing the Petrov. Yobova certainly drew him very comfortably, and
So when Wesley was not an elite player, but around 2700 for a while, I think when he was still studying in college, he played the Petrov.
aha,
And
okay,
he actually lost the game in this variation, this exact variation, um, against Arkady Naiditch in the French league. I remember studying that game in 2012. But he played the Petrov in 20. So in 2012, the Berlin wasn't as popular. There were still guys like
right,
Gelfand and Geary playing the Petrov, and actually Wesley was also playing the Petrov and the Sicilian quite a bit
right.
more. That was his
Go-to
go-to.
defenses, yeah.
So I've seen him in this position before.
Okay, because I really, for some reason, I associated Wesley very strongly to the Sicilian as well as to the Berlin, but I really didn't make the connection with him and the Petrov. So you're saying he has years of experience going back, um, and Rook B1 has been played, and well, it's it's I don't know, a little bit easier for white, I guess, after Rook B1 B6.
Somebody made a comment that
Yeah.
there's a bookshelf behind me and it's empty, and that you have a lot of interesting books. But
Oh yeah.
I
Well,
emptied
that's
out
just
my bookshelf because we have a new apartment and all the books are there now. So
yeah.
I would accept that comment being called out.
Well, I'm on the third floor of our home, so I'm in like my man cave. You're only seeing a small part. Well, the books behind me, but there's books on the other shelf, and they go all the way to the back of the room. I'm not an avid chess book collector. I have a very modest library, maybe 2,000, 3,000 books tops. But I know a lot of people who really do collect a lot of chess books. pretty pretty impressive their collections. How many chess? You said that
I didn't.
essentially you became a grandmaster without reading a chess
No,
book.
I had no chess books growing up. No books,
Wow,
nothing. Um,
wow.
but now it's starting to add up. I'm at I think my first 12 around there.
Your first 12.
I'm getting close to that. I have Kasparov series. I have no. I'm at around. I'm getting close to 12.
Wow.
But
Well,
yeah, sir. I can say one
yes.
thing. I always read magazines when I can, and so
Mm-hmm.
magazines. I wouldn't say when people say books, they refer to that as that. But I read magazines whenever I see one just lying anywhere,
Sure.
and so I subscribe to, the Informant, New in Chess. I read. I don't read chess. I mean, I got Chess Life growing up, and I think I gave it to my local chess club. I got Chess Life as well. I'd read that. Uh,
Right.
but Chess Life is a bit of a different sort of magazine than the ones in that you sort of, if you're just looking for chess content, like within the game itself, uh, you know, uh, you're gonna have to spend some time, filtering, because
Right.
it has a whole variety of things, but it's not it's more catered towards the general base, which is fine. But for the annotated games and stuff, I will consume whatever's put out there if it's nearby.
Yeah. Good one. Um, what's your opinion of the newest chess periodical? It's called the American Chess Magazine.
Uh,
It's actually put out by Serbia and the folks that brought it as the Chess Informant. My understanding is there's actually two um, editions. They put out two magazines.
I'm guessing you didn't read it because
I read the first one.
I
I
was an
read the
author in
first
the
one.
first one, yeah, sir.
Yeah, well, there you go. So
So you
I'm
didn't remember?
impressed.
I wrote an
I didn't get the
article.
second one
I wrote an article in the first one. I know.
about the about your experiences. Hold on.
So
What was it?
Yasser was looking at the authors and he skimmed through. He said, "Oh, Canada's experience at the Olympiad. I have absolutely no interest in that. They almost took
No,
our
it was
gold."
a good article. You annotated nicely.
I Yeah, so I know them in person. I think Josip and the Chess Informant people.
Well
So
known to the world of chess. Yeah.
I I like them,
Okay.
but I do. I mean, I'm used to the Informant, and the Informant has radically changed. They've added,
Yeah.
they've modernized it, you could say.
Mm-hmm.
More and well, my claim to fame is, uh, I was the first one to write in the Chess Informant to annotate a game with verbal commentary, and I didn't realize that's not what you're supposed to do because
Well,
it's all
yes.
notations, and they liked the writing so much that from then on
It
they
inspired
were
you.
gonna ask me, can you change it? But they liked it so much that now they have tons of verbal commentary. But the very first time was actually an Eric Hansen article of me getting beat up by Vugar Gashimov at the 2011 World Cup. I got knocked out in the first round. Obviously, he was top 10 in the world at the time, but
Right.
I was writing with a lot of adjectives and stories and giving variations as well. But that's how we would do it in the Canadian magazine, which no longer exists, unfortunately.
Right.
But then they're like, actually, this is quite nice, and maybe there's something to be said for having some more variety. Maybe and so now I notice that they have tons of it, and they got guys like Mickey Adams writing in there as well. But my impression
Sure.
is it's a very well put together magazine. It's
Mm-hmm.
comes at a high price point, I think, yes, for $30 or $40
Yes.
per issue.
It,
So that's a high price point, for sure. But it's a well-made magazine,
I
like
think
high
you
quality.
can subscribe for $90 for maybe 4 editions or something like that. They do have discounts on subscription.
Okay.
But yeah, if you buy a single copy, my understanding too, like you said, it's a little bit high priced. But on the other hand, if you're going to buy a chess book that only is going to teach you, I don't care, the Sicilian Dragon, right? It's going to be $30. You might not read the entire book from start to finish, but you get this magazine, the American Chess Magazine, I'm thinking of, and specifically, and I found myself reading every page. So it was like very good value.
No, I learned chess from Serbians. That's my background. So, actually, I just grew up around a lot
Sure.
of Serbians, whether it was on the board or not. And so the informant, or hearing stories about the informant, or knowing about whether those Serbian names, or I don't know. I think Matanovic started the informant. Is that right?
Yes, he did. Yes.
Just
It was
so I'm very
it
happy
was
to see it. I'm very happy to see it.
Yeah, it was a very, very, very big group effort there in Yugoslavia, or Serbia, as you would put it, in Belgrade specifically. Mitanovic was one of a long group of people, Gligoric, Ivkov, there's just many, many, many people over the years who contributed to the informant. And they wanted to, as you were saying, create a symbol language so that it would literally be languageless. You didn't have to speak Serbo-Croatian, you didn't have to speak Russian, you didn't have to speak English. And they wanted to give annotators the tools uh, using symbols to describe their thoughts. So there was a symbol for space advantage, symbol for attack, symbol for initiative, symbol for a forced move, a better endgame, and so forth and so on. Now, could I ask you a quick question? Because again, I'm not familiar with this line. When I played the Petrov, I didn't play it with the move Bishop D6. Rook B1, B7, B6. I'm sure that's all very standard, but I'm kind of thick. So sometimes I ask basic questions that I should know the answer to. On his 11th move, could Black have played Knight D7 with the intention that Rook takes B7? What else? I mean, you played Rook B1 for. Yeah, I'm trapping the Rook. Now, in this particular case, we can maybe understand why the move H3 was important. If my bishop was on G4, you know, it's really easy for me to go back to C8, trap the Rook, and, like, you got nothing for the exchange. You just lost. But here, um, what what's the theory?
Oh,
How
I
would
mean, you can
Black
play
go?
you can play knight d7, or
It
you can
is
play
it's a
b6.
valid move.
I've seen that.
Knight
I've seen
D7.
that.
Okay,
With this sort of structure, it's kind of reminds me of the French, where often you want the knight on c6 because you
hmm
can put pressure on the center a bit more. White doesn't get the opportunity to necessarily play
C4.
c4 as easily, and also sometimes you jump to a5, take advantage of this, or things like
Sure.
that. So no, you can do knight d7, and well,
And
as I said,
again,
Wesley's had
well,
some
well,
experience in this structure.
of course.
So
I mean, it's his line. But go back for a second again. You're saying knight c6, knight a5. If I get knight d7 and knight b6 for free, your structure, you're not going to play c4. In other words, what I think I'm trying to say is you're almost obliged to play rook takes b7,
what?
because after this, I'll take bishop takes, knight b6, I'm assuming. I'm hitting your bishop with a tempo. The bishop's going to move somewhere. I don't care. B3 or D3. I'm going to play C5. And why is the tempo rook B1 good for white? You know what I'm saying. Maybe I could play queen F6. I don't know. Your choice. But I'm thinking that knight D7 is a very useful move versus b6.
But I mean, we're just talking about open, like it
Yeah,
is, but
no,
what like they're both playable from what I know, and there's not any evaluation change between the moves.
okay. Okay, yeah, because in a perfect world,
Because
I
like
could
black
bring the rook on
also,
draw to play knight d7.
because black, I mean, if I'm thinking about how to, if white doesn't do anything, and I want to put
It's
pressure on this position as
spectacular.
black, I want to
Yep.
play c5 and knight c6. That's my
Okay,
most direct method of placing my
so
pieces. Like, I
so
mean,
if I
we,
play rook e1, if I just make a pass, rook e1,
uh huh.
are you really going to play c5? Doesn't that lose drop a pawn? No, it doesn't
So
drop a pawn. g4, bishop g6,
no, well, I'm
takes.
not. I
No.
mean, I said I'm not looking at things concretely. I'm saying strategically
Okay.
speaking, that's the maximum setup you
Okay.
can get is to get c5 and knight
For
c6.
black.
Yeah, knight
Yeah.
d7 doesn't put as much direct pressure on whether it's this pin or the center. So I mean, I mean, it's just opening decisions, but they're both totally playable.
Okay. Again, apologies. Not a big theoretician. I'm looking at this position with kind of
I
beginner's
mean,
eyes.
because there's nothing wrong with b6, right?
Sure, there is. There's a lot of things wrong with b6 that I find. One thing you're doing is you're kind of opening up this. You're making your rook on a8 potentially vulnerable. Probably it's a bad idea, but c4, d takes c4, bishop e4 is one potential of why you would perhaps not want to play the move b6. Right, go ahead. You could play. Uh,
This is
I'm saying c4 takes. What else are you going to do? You're not going to play c6, right? Yeah, and you're fine. You're fine. I'm just saying this is
there's
there is a drawback on b6.
it's
And
only
that drawback,
I mean,
it's temporary. I get
I
it.
mean, I might even consider that, but no,
Right.
yeah, it's a temporary drawback, but it's also like, you know, as a Grunfeld player, I'm very used to playing b6. Uh,
Ah,
it supports that, but um, you know, it's a matter of preference, I guess. But the one thing that I always notice from Wesley So games is he doesn't lose from the openings usually. It's not because
no, 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 no.
I mean, he picks good
No.
move orders too, or at least tricky move orders. Like that's how
Mhm.
I played him this year in the Pro Chess League, and I lost with White. He played the French, and I played the knight c3, and I go into the winnower
Okay.
variation. One drawback of going into the winnower rather than something like the Tarash is there are a lot of sidelines for black in the French, especially in the winnower. And
Yes.
okay, in rapid chess, it's a bit harder to remember all the theory and things like that. And there's a lot of flexibility, and it's easy to pick a line there that may have an issue but hasn't, it's outdated, or it's like has um, some very small,
Drawback, kind of.
drawback that but like he killed the pro league, but he played a very varied repertoire there. I think I forgot what his score was, like 95% or something on board one, but he picked the lines that, and I played him multiple times. I lost both games, but he was picking lines that were specific for his opponents, because he wasn't playing the Berlin every game or things like that. So it's like you often
Right.
feel the strength of
Right.
these guys when you play them, because when you commentate on the games and they're
Yes.
playing for draws and things, oh, it's easy to criticize Wesley or some other people, but then when they feel like you're not a threat, or they're not risking tens of thousands of dollars, they
Yeah.
look for ways to catch you in the opening.
Right.
They pick sideline, not necessarily sidelines, but yeah, lines they haven't played so much. And Wesley's one of those guys. So um,
No, his
I mean, his openings.
knowledge.
I mean, he might want to provoke something with b6, and he trusts his preparation there.
Yeah. No, I understand. I'm just saying that. Uh, mm, well, I mean, b6 definitely has its drawbacks, and well, knight d7 would be a preferable move. But okay, they're still in the deep in theory. What's happening in Richard Rapport? Ding Liren. Ding Liren just coming off an incredibly nice victory over his countryman Wang Hao, a beautiful technical victory in the second game of their classical games. But whereas Richard had a very, very nervy affair getting past Evgeny Nair in tiebreaks.
And this is something you don't see Richard play very much. Bishop takes c6, giving up the bishop pair, and going into, well, a structure. Well, the DC6 structure is, sort of a Roy Lopez exchange, or in this case, it's more of a Berlin.
Yeah, feel to it.
But
Yeah,
it's sort of
it's
a slow opening
exchange.
usually, but you can handle it differently. And he chooses Queen E2, which we saw Wei Yi, use, I believe, in Vaikanze. I think Fabiano also tried it out, and White wants to prepare queenside castling and getting a quick G4. So it's one of the sharper ways of handling it. But Alexander Grishuk recently defeated Yu Yangyi in a match in China, and he capped it off. He won it in dominant fashion. I thought it was a short match, but he was in control. He beat Yu Yangyi as black in this structure quite comfortably.
How did he do it?
He followed. I believe Karyakin even had a game against Caruana, but his attack got in first with the two bishops. His pawn push.
When White went long, yeah.
Yeah. So knight d1 is to me a newer approach. I know it's not the exact same position. For example, in the Berlin, a6 is not played in this variation usually.
Right.
But it may not make a difference because a5 and b5 get played when White queenside castles. But knight d1 to me is a it makes a lot of sense. You can get away with slow moves, but often White just goes for the quick queenside castle.
And of course, the idea behind knight d1 is the knight's not happy on the c3 square because all the d5, b5 squares are protected. So knight's looking for a better job. Presumably, f5 and g4 squares are more attractive to the knight than c3.
So we don't have.
Knight, knight f8. Yeah.
One thing is, there's something technical about these positions though that I think Ding Liren might be happy about it. If White doesn't achieve that initiative that he hopes for, those two bishops gain strength over time, and Ding Liren is just a very strong technical player. He's really good at pushing. So if White doesn't get what he then black starts to take over the games usually, which is why the Berlin is such a head scratcher, because this line has scored some big wins as White, but at the same time it's taken some losses because black has two bishops to make it very simple, and not. That pawn structure is not easy to break at all. You pretty much have to open it up as White. Going for f4 sometimes is one of the ways.
Right.
But if it's not timed properly, if you don't get it in properly, then I find black slowly but surely starts to
achieving a grip. Yeah, I kind of feel more comfortable with black. I, like yourself, I tend to believe that White has to achieve something very concrete before Black gets in what I think is ideal setup. So, for example, just to put some moves on the board, knight e3, f6, maybe not forced, but go ahead and make some moves, Eric.
f6, f6. Sorry, I think you're cutting out for a little bit, or it might be my end. Just a second. Can you hear me? Yasser?
No, I'm saying for you.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
For you to move the pieces.
No, I couldn't. Nothing you said came out. Sorry, f6. I only
Uh,
heard f6. I didn't hear anything else. You're getting very laggy.
oh, okay.
But just let's
Oh,
see if this
oh,
passes.
that's okay. Hopefully this will pass as well.
Okay,
Yes.
okay,
Uh,
f6.
sorry. Yeah, knight e3, f6, knight e6,
So what's
knight.
no, no, no. After f6 is white's move. You said knight e6. I'm missing a move
Yes.
again.
y-
You don't want to play
Knight.
f6. You want to play knight e6 instead of f6.
No, f6 is good.
But I need a move for white now. It's white's move.
Right. Knight e3, f6, knight f5,
Okay, okay,
knight f5, knight e6,
yeah.
bishop e3,
Mm-hmm.
bishop f8. In my view, this is the ideal position for black. Essentially, the bishop on f8 uh, really holds down the fort over there, and black simply wants to play c5 and occupy the d4 square. And white has to play very, very concretely, because otherwise, if black gets in his c5, his two bishops will give him an advantage.
I have to say, just seeing the variation on the board,
Yeah,
I know Rapport prepared this, and well, Ding plays e5 almost exclusively. He can play the
right.
Sicilian too, but he's a pretty principled player, sort of like
Hmm.
Wesley, actually, both tech and I think he has a lot more experience here, and this position caters to some of his strengths. And also, I don't believe there's a lot of juice in this opening in terms of coming up with novelties. Uh,
Right.
the Berlin or the structure, this DC6 is actually classical structure is just super resilient, and even if you're faced with something over the board, often the remedies for black are natural moves. It's not like a Sicilian where if you get caught, you might just be dead
Yeah.
with a fight. So just based on the opening alone, if I'm in Ding Liren, I'm very happy because I'm seeing a slow position. I'm seeing, look, you put your pieces on the good squares. It reminds me, yesterday they were asking Peter about his match with Bu Shengzi, and he's like,
Mm.
Bu had to win with black, and okay, he got killed because he said he was a very strong. He said Bu, is a very strong classical player. He does the basics very well. He puts the pieces on the best squares. He tries to improve them. He doesn't give
Hmm.
up much space, uh, and he was just playing for a win with black. Just that was a big issue. That was just outside of his comfort zone. But otherwise, in just the normal positions, standard positions, he said he was exceptionally strong. I find Dingley right, okay, maybe even a stronger version of that, but like he shouldn't be. I think he's quite happy here. To sum it up,
Yes, I agree.
there's very few ways to mix it up. You don't play c3 generally speaking. It just gives in the setup Yasser mentioned an additional target on d3.
Hmm.
G4 is the main way of
Idea, right?
innovation these days, and
Trust.
black is scoring wins now though. Like it's fallen out of fashion at the very top level for the most part. In the sense, it's not like being played by everybody and their second
Right.
cousin against the Berlin. It's no, it's black's got achieved some wins there, and the shock effect is gone. And besides that, there are not like other ways. It's not like uh, the difference between this and like the English, where white can play h4, can play a4. Black's got two bishops. Every time you push a pawn, those bishops get more space and have more targets. It's a lot more consequential than other openings, and
Hmm.
that's it. I played the Berlin for the first time. I had this position for the first time against Hare Krishna a few years back.
Ah,
But I will honestly say I knew nothing about this opening.
okay.
I didn't play. I wasn't an E5 player growing up, so I don't know
Right.
DC6 structures. And I just learned the Berlin. I spent a week in Romania and learned the Berlin. That's to sum it up. I learned a bit of the theory, but I didn't know
Why
anything.
did
But I
you
never
go
learned
to
this line. I was
Did you
training
go
with.
to
I
Romania
was
for a
training.
special Berlin chess camp or something?
Uh, I was training the Berlin with a good friend of mine, Christian Carrilla, at the time. I was living in Spain, and I
Okay.
decided, I was studying chess at the time. But the long story short, I didn't know anything about this structure because the critical lines of the Berlin to me were the end game and maybe the stuff. I just thought to myself, okay, everyone tells me black is okay if they take on c6. let's just try that out. And I know there's subtleties about it because I've been punished since then. But I drew as a total. I would consider myself a patzer at the time. I was
Hmm.
maybe rated, 2580, but I didn't know the opening at all. My first time playing the opening, and I'm playing a 2700, and I just knew that you keep the bishops, you play f6, you put the knight e6, but I didn't know any move orders, didn't know anything, and I drew so easily. I was like, this isn't fair. I don't deserve to draw. I didn't study the classics of this opening, but the opening itself was just good, and so I have a very high opinion of the Berlin because of that. Like if you can play it without studying it deeply at a professional level, then it's not fair. It's not fair, Yasser. You gotta pay your dues, and I didn't at the
Uh,
time and got away with it.
Wonderful. Am I looking correctly? Knight at e3, draw agreed?
Oh, you're looking correctly for sure, Yasser. People are
Wow.
asking why I'm talking. Well, now you see why. I mean, they're making draws. I gotta just say a few words.
Well, there you go. Knight e3 draw. I was just mentioning that in this matchup, Dinglerin went through round four without a tiebreak. And Richard had a very nervy tiebreak and very lucky to get to that tiebreak against Evgeny Nair. He decided, look, for the well-being of my emotional body, my nervous energy, he made a very, very, very short draw with white pieces. He's basically said, look, uh, I want to get recharged for this round. But giving up the white pieces in a mini match like this, not a good sign for the Hungarian player.
He's eliminated two of China's uh, national team, two of their best players. So one interesting sideline is if he gets through Ding Liren, he's the
He's really
most wanted man in China.
the dragon killer, huh? The dragon slayer.
But I have to say, I actually I don't like quick draws. But
No.
in this opening, I totally would understand his decision. I don't know what his idea was, if this was the plan from the start or because of the
Yes.
resulting position. But I do not give him good chances to outplay Ding Liren from this opening. So I'm not sure if something went wrong. He didn't expect something, or he was hoping for a different move order. But this
Hmm.
is not how I envision Richard Laporte going through against Ding Liren. Maybe he's conserving energy. Maybe he believes, look, this guy's incredibly strong in classical chess, very solid, uh, and I need to take him to tie breaks. Um,
It's
maybe that's
it's
it, but yeah,
it's a strategy.
it's a strategy. It's a strategy, and it's worked before for people like Andreikin, and we've seen other people do it, drawing and then winning tie breaks, when especially when
Sure.
they feel like they're at a disadvantage in the um, classical part. But when I saw this opening, Yasser, I was like, this is strange to me. This is not how he's going to defeat Ding Liren. It's too
Right.
well known of a structure, to and it's too solid. I mean, it's just this.
Wonderful. Well, let's go to another game then. We'll put this one to rest.
I just
Levon,
wanted to
shall we
quickly
go
check
back to
this.
Levon?
Yes, we are.
Okay, sure.
I'm being an addict. I'm checking the score of this match, Yasser, because I just love watching or knowing
In
that
Blitz.
top players are just
How,
dueling it out in
how do you
blitz.
check the score? What's the
It's beside
where?
their name.
Oh, it's five versus
5-4.
four.
I mean, that's good stuff. In case people
Yeah,
want to see some blood, there are some patties being thrown there. Uh,
absolutely. And again, that's between Hikaru and Nepo.
so
Okay, so after b6, rook e1. Yeah, that was a good waiting move. White puts his rook on the open file, very correctly so. c6, c4, dc4, bishop c4, knight d7, bishop d3. All looks very standard. And
Well, I was gonna say there's one other thing we should have looked at in this line to be more concrete because now we
sure,
have knight d7, queen c7. I just want to quickly revisit, since you mentioned h3 was included in this line.
yes.
Is this the reason not to play it because you can actually take the pawn and It doesn't feel like it is because maybe Queen D7. I'm looking at moves like Queen E4, but
Right?
just out of curiosity, and now I'm starting to see Queen D7. I don't know, but I don't know if this was actually. It doesn't look human, but these things are very concrete. So I was just curious out of that variation. But instead, we have this line.
Sorry, you're beginning, unfortunately.
Yeah, we're losing you a bit, Yasser. It's the
If I was
upstairs.
black, that's- uh, I, I, I got this booster. This, hmm. Let me just see what I've done.
Technology is frustrating, Yasser.
It's very, very frustrating. My internet access is saying,
Now you're back. I
well,
can see you in HD, by the way.
oh, very good. My internet access, I got this wonderful little booster
Yeah.
device that is supposed to, you know, if you measure it, my internet connectivity is like in this kind of a loop, and it's really, really high with this extension. So you were breaking up there for me. Uh, in this line you were mentioning with Bishop A6. I wanted to throw something out there, but I guess you couldn't hear me.
No, I couldn't hear you. But we can check up on that. I forgot that we also have this.
Okay.
We got this Petrov here, but fortunately, I'm hoping the Aronian Ivanchuk game or the Sidar MVL game turns sharp because I'm always fearful, Yasser, of the day that everyone decides to sleep in.
To make a short
To make
draw,
a
yeah.
short draw, because that actually that happens, right? You actually see that people
Of course.
coordinate, especially on the top board of some open events. Maybe they're all at the same party, but it's surprisingly, not uncommon. So Rookie 8.
Right.
By the way, what do you think of this opening choice? Speaking, I was talking about Wesley and how he likes to like pick and choose. Uh, playing a bit of a controlled line against Fedoseev. Do you like this choice based on what you've seen, or do you think he should have punished Fedoseev and actually allowed him to play something sharper, and with the idea that look, I'm Wesley So, I can defend like a world class player, and you're not going to get away with what you've been doing this event. I am the final boss who's taking you out.
Wow. That's strong. No, I like very much what Wesley has done. He's very, very, very pragmatic player. Like everybody for the last 500 years, the idea of match play, of draw with black, press with white, is still a winning formula. And so, Petrov defense, good solid choice.
Did you play the Petrov much?
Not much. I dabbled. I dabbled. Uh, mm, I probably played, I'm going to say about maybe 20, 30 games with the Petrov. So it wasn't really my um, go-to defense kind of thing. I always liked the French, the Rat, the Caro, uh, certain lines of the Sicilian I enjoyed playing. Um, but the Petrov was, I think everybody at one time or another really needs to have a Petrov in their repertoire just so that they can understand classical positions. And you can't get much more classical than a Rui or a Petrov.
Do you call it the Petrov or Russian defense?
Petrov. I always grew up with it as a Petrov, and I think people who refer to it as the Russian defense, absolutely that's legit too. One of the problems that I experienced growing up, again, I was coming in this Cold War kind of period between the Soviets and the East and the West. Let's just put it that way. Well, the Soviets were real land grabbers. They would stake their claim to just basically every opening variation you imagine, and they had some incredible names that went with these openings. And like, for example, the word move against a Najdorf move order. Well, Sozin played it like 3 times in his life. He like lost twice and drew once. And the Soviets gave him credit for this move. And we stupid Americans blindly followed them, and they called it the Sozin. Bobby Fischer played Bishop C4 as a kind of a neo-religion for white, won some incredibly beautiful games, and it's not called the Fischer variation.
You make a very good point, Yasser, and I have seen some Fischer Sozin games.
Right. Like, and what the hell? Yeah,
it's like the dot-com boom, Yasser. The Russians got all that real estate first.
Yeah, exactly.
Or at least they convinced people to do so. Maybe, you know, if you control the chess literature, you control the names, right? That was very powerful back then, the books and the magazines. So, but you're right. I think Fischer was the most prolific Sozin player.
Exactly. And so, you know, to call that's really, you know, egregiously, you know, bad. Just, no, I'm not going for that one bit. But in any case, Petrov was the way I grew up with knight f6 on move 2 by black. Later, I understood that a number of people thought you should call it Russian, because there were a lot of Russian players in addition to Petrov, who was Russian, who played it. And I thought, okay, that's perfectly fine, no problem. But of course, you know, knight f6 was played, you know, 500 years ago. But, you know, we don't, you know, outside of, I want to say Philidor, I guess you have the Greco and some others. Some of the really old guys who should have basically claimed everything, right? Because, I mean, after all, you know, like you say, it's, you know, virgin territory. It's this new world, you know. But we can't call every opening today the Greco, because that would confuse us. But some of these old guys were playing knight f6 long before Petrov was ever born.
If I had an opening named after me, Yasser, I wouldn't be single.
Explain.
Well, just, I mean,
Elaborate.
that's good material. You're like published. You got something named after you. I mean, that's some street cred, Yasser. I mean, just imagine the potential conversations, or there's books named after you. You just walk by, Chapters or Indigo, and oh, hey, that's my opening, and you know, it's just, don't you think that would be very that's like a mark of respect? You'd just be able to, I mean, up your dating game so much. I mean, it would.
That was bad.
I can't hear you, by the way. What was
that
bad?
Was bad for me. Yeah, me either. Yeah, I missed like your last 3 minutes.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure I should repeat it.
I missed it all. Do you think we should? Do you want me to reboot my computer, like shut everything down and come back? Because
I think so.
I'm really having.
You are cutting out a lot.
Likewise, yeah. Okay, so sorry everybody.
People say you belong back in the kitchen.
There you go. There you go. And it's true. I love the kitchen. All right, I'm gonna shut down and reboot.
It's not by the way, if you are gonna reboot, try to reboot the router. It's not your computer. It would be the router.
Oh, okay.
Your computer is totally fine. It's about finding that router, pressing the reset, or unplugging it as you've done, and just waiting like 30 seconds.
All right. I will be back in 5 minutes then.
Sounds good.
Okay. Bye-bye.
What's up, guys? Just round 5 here, aka the quarterfinals, and we got 3 games still in play. One game was a quick draw between Richard Rapport of Hungary and Ding Liren, China's #1 player. Yasser will be right back. This is the current game position between Svidler and MVL. Both players taking their time in the opening. This is pretty uncharted territory, which is good for us, and also means I think Svidler wants to play aggressively to start out the match. MVL is an exceptionally strong rapid player, but if I were to favor Svidler's chances, I believe the classical portion is his best shot. Not to say rapid he's not good at. Fedoseev, Wesley So. Some tactics here. Bishop f3, bishop takes d8. The problem is the rooks are disconnected. So after bishop d1, rook e8 wins the game. One more game, though, that we should have checked up on is Aronian and Ivanchuk, but they've been pretty slow in the opening. Also, by the way, Yasser clearly still hasn't reset his router because we can see the Skype webcam. I wanted to thank everybody for supporting the stream. I'm going to give out some personal names. Moran subscribed, Dean Madden, Jay Miller, King Greg, Cyberhigh. Oh, there. Now he reset it. Oops. There we go. Also a $500 donation by ChessBay. Thank you very much. Amon is playing Isle of Man. We're both going next Thursday to Isle of Man, which means you guys will be spoiled. There's going to be the finals of the World Cup and Isle of Man, the strongest open event of the year, featuring most of the best players in the world, including Magnus Carlsen, who signed up last minute. Richard Rapport is also signed up for the tournament, same with Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, but they'll only play if they get eliminated. So I'm sure they're hoping not to be an Isle of Man. It's pretty much for all the people who've been eliminated. This has definitely been a tournament of upsets. So if I were to pick two finalists, I think I mentioned it yesterday, but I probably already forgot. I think I picked Wesley So and Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, but it's not completely clear to me. I think it's Dingley Ren or Wesley So in one half, and the other half, I don't know. Aronian's been doing well, MVL's been doing well, and Svidler's a World Cup specialist who's also just a very strong player. To me it's a toss-up. I can't pretend to know, but I can say that Fedoseev is really a big underdog against Wesley So, in my opinion. Even though he knocked out Nakamura, Wesley So is a lot more solid and has fewer weaknesses, I think. And Richard Rapport, despite being, he's been scoring upset after upset, I believe the remaining players are tough matchups. Although he did beat Levon Aronian with black within the last year. But I think those two guys, I don't envision them in the finals. B Muffle just subscribed, and he said the subscription was 50% off. That's right. In September, you subscribe to the channel. It's 50% off, only $250 a month. And it just supports us, supports putting guys like Yasser on air and doing events like this in the future. So I do appreciate it. Ivanchuk is, if he's playing well, then he'll beat any of these guys. He can beat any of these guys, and he's been doing so right now. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Ivanchuk. Help Yasser get better internet. That is possible if I go there in person. Apparently they bought something to work on it, but they might need a handyman there. I'm not much of a handyman, but for internet maybe I can help. How did I learn Grunfeld theory? Great question. Look at Peter Svidler's games. Peter is a marvelous Grunfeld player. He contributed immensely to the current state of affairs in the opening. Just his games were my template. So just waiting for Yasser to come back. Uh-oh. Fedoseev, and this doesn't surprise me one bit, guys. Wesley So and Vladimir Fedoseev have agreed to a draw. That's not an opening that I see Fedoseev beating Wesley. Wesley's so solid and so hard to beat from classical positions. So we're seeing two quick draws so far. If I'm going to make another prediction, if Aronian doesn't get an edge, I wouldn't be surprised if that's a quick draw because Ivanchuk's playing so well that I think people are a bit afraid of, not afraid, but they realize Ivanchuk is here to take down some giants. But this fifth NVL game is maybe where our hope lies. Let's get Yasser back on the call.
Hello, Eric. Hopefully I'm back.
You are back, Yasser, but not everyone is back because Fedoseev and Wesley So have agreed to a draw. So as you disappeared, the field is dwindling. We only have 4 players.
Two games left.
Yes, only 2 games left. And this is... Yeah, this is...
You have to share your screen with me, though.
Oh, that's right.
Well, it's good to be back, and during the pause, I rebooted everything. So I hope, fingers crossed, that we'll work well without interruption.
My leg fell asleep, Yasser. This is why commentary is very dangerous.
Very dangerous. One of our listeners some rounds ago complained, rightfully so, that we hadn't looked enough at Peter's Fielder's games. Hopefully we will be making amends in this round because there's only 2 games left, and he's one of the players still hard at his desk. This
is the game that I'm hoping will turn into a slugfest.
Sure.
So far it started out in a good way. The clocks aren't updated. They've surely spent more time than that.
Absolutely. We're an hour and 15 minutes into our broadcast, so those clocks are definitely wrong.
I'm refreshing the screen to make sure.
Okay.
We had a bunch of subscribers, Yasser, that I was calling out. We're actually at our all-time high. We crossed the 500 barrier last night. Actually, I was streaming 500 subscribers, which is all-time high by quite a margin, and continuing to grow. So that's cool to see. Appreciate it a lot. And so the numbers are good. Numbers are very good. But yeah, so we're losing you all the time. In fact, you can't hear me, right? Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sir. I'm still losing you quite a bit.
And yeah. Let me
try something.
I'm gonna go over to we have 2 connections. My wireless XT, my connection here at home, says connected and secured, and I'm getting a good signal from it. I can go to another wireless connection. Let me give that a try, but I'm gonna lose you on the Skype.
Okay. Well, we'll do anything to get you back, so take your time.
All right. No, it should just be 30 seconds or so. Okay.
Sorry about that, guys. I'm hoping if we do more of these, somehow we can
Hi.
Contest. Oh, that was quick.
That was very quick.
That was shockingly quick. You switched connections and you're back? Oh. Yeah, so are you sure you switched? That was hello? Oh.
Again. I hear you fine.
Okay, now I can hear you.
Okay. It's funny, this technology. sometimes it works really well. Other times it kind of fades. We're having a bad day on my connection, I guess.
Yeah, it's one of those bad days. You got a few.
Uh,
Yeah, keep going. Sorry.
yeah, I was just going to say that first of all, to our audience, it's great having you. And I got two very uh, generous and kind email messages. The first one was from a friend of mine from the old days. His name is Norman Weinstein. Norman, very strong international master. And he wrote that he very much enjoyed listening to our chess commentary, um, and that he thought that the young I am Aman has a great understanding of chess, and I'm sure he will soon become a GM if he keeps up at it. He also reminds me of that he took Victor Korchnoy's advice to heart, which is beat them when they're young. And he mentions that his combined tournament record against myself, Joel Benjamin, Michael Wilder, Michael Rode, Nick DeFermian, and Larry Christensen is something like 9-0. And he beat us when we were all very young, 15 years old or even younger. So a shout out to Norman. Thanks for the reminder, and thanks for listening. Also from Tony Rich at the St. Louis Chess Club. Tony has a great deal of experience putting together commentary teams for events like the U.S. Championship and the Sinkfield Cup. He knows a lot about commentary, and he says that he's really enjoying the chessbrah channel for the World Cup. Really great stuff. Keep up the good work, everybody, and go Wesley.
No, it's very nice to hear. It's funny you throw out the name Norman Weinstein. I don't think he knows, but I started playing chess. I learned chess and I started playing bullet chess on the World Chess Network back in the day. Norman,
Yes.
I've probably logged in well over 1,000 bullet games against Norman when I was literally
Wow.
11 or 12 years old, and I never played. He was the only IM I ever played because there weren't any in Alberta, and I played him online. But I, I've I grew up playing Norman on that server. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games, and I knew I was making progress every time I'd score a win here and there. But I actually went from 900 to 2,000 just playing bullet, and a steady stream of bullet. And he was one of the only title player that I pretty much got to play.
Wow. Wow. I'm really surprised. I thought he would be a person that you were completely unfamiliar with, and you were two ships passing the night, because he stopped playing tournament chess certainly by the time that you started. But apparently I didn't know that Norman was a closet online player.
He was
got
playing
his kicks.
tons online. He logged in
Wow.
almost, yeah, he was on WCN all
Daily?
the time. No, I really mean I played Norman hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, and I didn't know about his tournament successes, but he was one of the more accessible IMs who would take every challenge pretty much and just play.
Wonderful. Maybe you didn't know it, but you mentioned World Chess Network, WCN. Dato Tan Chen Nam, Bill Church, Church's Fried Chicken fame, and myself, we were the three amigos. Literally, we were the investors in the World Chess Network.
You mentioned that when you told me that you were friends with Dato Chinam, and I recall he sponsored quite a few events on there. But that's where I learned chess. That's where a lot of Canadians did, because we got free
Wow.
memberships. That's the only reason I stuck with chess, because I met a lot of friends on there, including guys like Amon and stuff. It was really where every single Canadian youth player was on that website, and the moderators on the website were Tom O'Donnell and Michael Schlafer, two Canadian international masters. There are others as well, but it was a heavily popular site
traffic.
In Canada. It was
Right.
like it was just a community, and but yeah,
Wow.
Norman had over 100,000 games on it on the website.
Holy, holy cow. That's even if you're playing bullet chess, that's a lot of minutes. Wonderful.
So that name takes
Could
me
you
back.
re
Yeah. Could I
could
refresh?
you re Yeah, because we're on move 10. I'm looking at your screen, which is the game, of course, between Levon Aronian and Vasil Ivanchuk. Again, I think the times are still not accurate, but I'm only seeing White's 10th move, d4.
Um, he's still thinking, Yasser. This is the game position.
No way. This is the
Jose,
game
yes,
position?
no, this is the position. They're
Whoa,
telling me
somebody's
that
going to be in.
Ivanchuk is tanking in the opening, which we've seen before.
This is the Levon Aronia, pardon me, this is the Vasily Ivanchuk that I remember so vividly. Um, uh, the London Candidates Tournament, where his use of the clock was horrifically bad, playing only 9 moves, and somebody spent over an hour here. I just don't know which player.
It's yeah, no, it's Ivanchuk taking his sweet time, but
Well, let's see what he's worried about. I think
this is a standard
everybody and his
position.
brother, yeah, I totally agree with that. I think everybody and his brother plays c5 here. Yeah, I mean, basically, if you think of Black's last several moves, knight on d7, rook on c8, well, he's playing for c5. What's bothering him?
He's calculating. No, this hangs a
What could he
piece.
be?
That hangs a piece. No,
Show
no.
why that hangs a piece, by the way.
Okay.
Rook d1 hangs a piece. c5, rook d1, take, 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 and b4. And it's that simple. The pin on the c file
Yeah.
is costly.
No,
Yeah.
C5 is the move. I can't even. I've seen the position before. I don't remember how white sort of punishes this early expansion where black is not, neglected to develop the king side. But it's standard. I mean, you don't think about anything else. You don't want to play b4 unprovoked and weaken some of these light squares. You generally prefer white to invest some time into doing so.
Right.
The only thing I can say, Yasser, is, well, if knight f6, can I still keep the option of c5, or are you coming quick? Because is he thinking, look, I want to play knight f6, I want to play queen b6, and then get
Mm-hmm.
c5? There's some line somewhere that's bothering him? He's down to 30 minutes on the clock, I believe.
Ivanchuk is down to 30 minutes. Well, the problem with knight f6 that I understand is e4, c5, d5.
Yeah, yeah.
And because your king is still in, you could play b4, or you're going to kick my knight a4. You're going to win the pawn on d5, but ooh,
I'm gonna
maybe
maybe
you
go for
should be
this.
worried about this, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you should be worried about this for black, because black's king's still stuck in the center.
No, for sure.
And
I
this one this one I get. So let's go back to the position. So c5, maybe Vasil is calculating d5, and can we just take a look at that? c5, d5 takes, and now a pause here, right?
we want to
Something
pin the
like,
pawn.
yeah, knight h4, knight g5. No, I'm not sure. Okay,
Okay,
knight
I can do knight
f6.
g5.
I'm not sure. Okay, we're pinning the pawn, right? Yeah. And I'm guessing rook d1 or bishop. Nah, rook d1. Let's go. Yeah. And e4, right? e5. Bishop g2 takes on f6, and
You get a bit worried.
maybe Yeah, maybe this is where the seal is calculating. I'm guessing bishop h3 because you want to block a check with bishop e6. I, otherwise, I can't understand why black is taking so long.
It beats me. I mean, when he went for the c6 variation, I assumed this was something he had looked at or prepared, but now he's having second thoughts.
For sure.
One of the hardest things to do would be to ask somebody to put themselves in the shoes or the brain of Vasily Ivanchuk. What is he thinking? I have no idea. So, in fact, we had a funny question from the crowd. Yasser, do you think Vasily is thinking about hippos?
Possibly, possibly. The question itself suggests that the writer of the question is a fan of the stream because, of course, he's referring to a story I was telling about the writings of Michael Tal in his book, The Life and Games of Michael Tal, that uh, during a very important match of this game in the Soviet Championship, uh, Michael Misha was thinking about hippos. But yeah, he's thinking about something. I have no idea.
You also
Um,
got a few people, I've been seeing it more and more, very contagious when you do the boy.
Boy,
Yeah, no, it's very contagious. That's all I can say.
uh, could we look at another line here because it's kind of fun? And while we're talking, my mind's working on the position c5 for black, which I think is an automatic. d5, e takes d5, knight h4, bishop e7, bishop e7, yeah, knight, knight f5, g6. Now, if you take on e7, knight takes e7, um, black's a pawn up at that moment. So knight e3, uh, yeah, bishop h6 kind of gets met by knight f5. Now, here, um, well, just a second. So we go knight f6, bishop g5, queen b6, trying to protect everything.
You're being exceptionally greedy here. But it might
Greedy.
work. It might work.
Yes.
I mean, you're not trying to
Well,
claim you're
I'm just
better,
saying that
but you're trying to equalize. Yeah.
no, no. Yeah. All I'm saying is, I've mentioned that there are several players, three in particular stand out in my mind, whose moves I really have a hard time with, and they were in no particular order. Alexander Morozevich, Alexei Shirov, and Vasily Ivanchuk. Those three guys, man, they're on a different planet than I am. And I'm just trying to figure out what it is that Vasile is taking 30 minutes or 1 hour uh, calculating. And it's got to be these positions. I'm not saying bishop e7 is a good move. I'm just saying it's a very forcing move, and therefore it's very easy to calculate absolute forcing moves. Maybe
Maybe there's
um,
also this move.
Eric, is that a move? Why is that a move?
Well, I thought here I could play e5
D4?
and put my knights in.
Okay, go ahead. Let's take a look. Uh, I I probably have to stick a knight on D5 now. And then you'll go knight E4, and you got something, something. Okay, that was a bad move for me. Bishop takes g2. You got to take on f6. Pause, 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 pause. Knight d5.
Well,
No, then I'm
you don't
losing a
want to give this
piece.
position against
Oh,
Levon Aronian, right?
Levon. King
Yeah.
take. Yeah, well, king takes g2 is a refutation. Just it's a stone cold refutation. Now, white is winning. Yeah, gotcha. That's over. Yeah, okay. So maybe it's something like c5, d5. Bishop e7 was the most aggressive. It takes knight h4. I think our original move was what? What was our original move? Knight f6 or something?
Mm-hmm.
And how did we deal with knight f6? I guess rook d1. And okay, that's a
There's also
decent move.
this
But what's
move.
wrong? Bishop e7 now, right? Knight f5. Well, white might be getting
No, white
something.
is because this
Castles.
reminds me of that Queen's Indian
The
variation,
queen's gambit.
except here these moves don't really even benefit. Like white just has more targets than normal. I don't know. This, I mean, we can win the pawn back, right? At a minimum, and it's a
Yeah, if you win the
little.
pawn back here, you're just happy. Okay, one more look for a second. From the start, there was c5, right?
He did play c5, by the way.
Oh, well, I'm thinking it's almost forced. So c5, d5. What about bishop takes d5? I'm getting myself pinned up, and I'm just wondering about bishop takes d5.
Is this on the
What?
board? I think it is on the board, Yasser. d5, he took
Oh,
with
all right.
e-pawn. If bishop
Yeah,
takes,
because then I, I'm not getting, how do you say pinned up?
you're not getting pinned up, but that's a
But may
that
just be getting killed.
that's a handsome bishop on g2 that I need to make use of very quickly.
Pardon me, did you say Hansen or handsome?
Handsome. I don't have anything named
I
after me. As I said, if I had something named after me, I wouldn't be
you'd be getting a
single.
lot more dates.
I would be getting
There
more
we go.
dates. I'd be getting more dates.
Exactly.
Um,
Okay, so how do you kill Black for his transgressions? He's his king side pieces are all on their original squares. He's one, two, three moves away from getting his king out of dodge. So you got to hit while the iron is hot.
okay, then I'll do that.
E4,
Yeah.
D4. Yeah. Oh man, you really just you want to
I
really
want to play b4
really
next move. Yeah,
oh
something like that.
B4,
Maybe a4, b4.
A4 or
By the way,
B4.
this looks very dangerous now that I look at it because
No,
e6,
no.
e6. This this is like the Fedoseev game. You're just asking to be attacked and penetrated on the light squares.
No question about it. Okay, that looks like, well, I mean, like you say, the bishop on G2 really does look really good. And unfortunately for Black, he's got a traffic jam with his kingside pieces. So I gotta play something. I don't know. Knight e7 just looks so miserable. I'm a little bit
Well,
afraid of e6 and knight g5, right?
I'm either now or preparing it, right? I mean, it's like
Yeah,
this initiative is so
it's
severe.
so severe. Oh, he has taken with the pawn anyway. Okay, so our move was knight h4, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a certain flow to this, and it is similar in terms of how white plays to that Queen's Indian line, where black sacrifice, where white sacrifices a pawn. But he's down to
By
20 minutes, by the way. 20 minutes
ow,
to an hour 20.
by the way, that was one of my games with Vasil Ivanchuk, where it was a queen's gambit accepted, where white did this d5 business and everything got captured on.
Is it
You're
this?
showing it. No, no, it's not this line at all.
Oh, but you know
Uh,
what I'm talking about, right?
No, I don't. Takes. Yes, this is the Polygaevsky sacrifice.
Okay, this is
But
what I was referring to as a pawn sacrifice. You
ah,
play knight. The way white plays, you put a knight on here. You try to get it there. You get compensation.
right.
And I was saying that what Ivanchuk has, he's got almost more targets and less development than this than this variation. I was just trying to make a
Right.
connection.
Right. The connection, by the way, this whole idea was introduced by Polygaevsky in his match in 19, candidates match in 1980 against Viktor Korchnoi. I was Viktor Korchnoi second, and they had several games in which Palu was doing incredibly well, and it became a very popular variation for white. The game I had with Vasil Ivanchuk from the start, Vasily was white. I'll
You
show you
can,
the variation.
yeah.
Oh, you want? I think you have to invite me
All right,
if you want.
you.
I've been in and out, so to speak. Okay, I'll accept. Okay, so this is Ivanchuk white, Yasser Seirawan black.
For whatever reason, I can't see your moves. I'm trying to figure out. Okay, let me refresh this. Is it a clear board now?
No, I've made four moves.
Why isn't it working?
I will accept again. Okay. Yes. Do you see that I've joined the chat room?
It says you've accepted the invite, but for whatever darn reason,
It
speaking
doesn't
of technology, it does not.
address the issue.
I do not see your moves. Can you tell me the moves? Sorry, I have to make it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, then I will stop. And d4, d5,
Uh huh.
c4, dc. Again, Vasily Ivanchuk white. Knight f3, knight f6, e3, e6. Bishop takes c4, c5, castles, a3, a6, pardon me. Queen e2, b5,
Oh, sorry.
bishop, yeah, bishop b3, bishop b7, rook c1,
Rook D1.
rook d1, pardon me, knight b8, d7, knight c3, bishop e7, and then he goes d5.
Ah.
We take everything on d5. Take. Rook takes, queen c7, e4, castles, and we get a position where white has these four versus three on the king side, a majority for white, a majority for black. Yeah, on at the queen side. Uh, so everything got traded. Uh, I was doing great, but Vasil won a very, very nice game. I mean, it was almost a model game for white, uh, and but I had equalized after we traded everything on d5. So something similar where white's going to be playing for light squares, and I was, but the difference between the game at hand is black's already castled.
Yeah. Yeah. No. This is a much safer version. You're not worried about getting mated. You got this majority you want to mobilize. Yeah. You
Yeah,
got a less stressful version.
a lot stressful version. So let's see the current position and
By the
what
way,
has happened.
well, he's still thinking,
Yes.
but this is like the worst spot you'd want to be in against Levon Aronian, a sacrificial player, a player who has a very good feeling for the imbalance. Like, and not saying that I expect him to beat Ivanchuk, one on one from just dynamic position, but the time
Hmm.
situation, and he's offering white. He's inviting white to attack. This line is exactly what Aronian strives in. He loves pawn down for activity. I mean, he's addicted to that. He's great at it. He's great at it. Uh,
There's
he's
no
This is
there's no
exactly what he
question.
wants. This is like, but this is I see a disaster in the making. I wouldn't be surprised to even see a miniature today, Yasser, where Ivanchuk loses in 25 moves. This is a line where you're gonna have to start playing top moves as black, like number one moves to keep the balance. with 15 minutes to an hour and 15 against one of the most feared initiative players in the world, who's having a great year. And I mean, it's one of those. I mean, you don't know what you get with Ivanchuk. You get a marvelous game, or you scratch your head and you're like, did he wake up on the wrong side of the bed?
Maybe he did. Let us just see exactly how we're supposed to continue this. Okay, so we've been looking at knight g8 f6, which makes perfect sense. And again, so we were looking at rook d1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I was just giving a recall, if you will, my game with Vasil where I was black. So let's imagine rook d1.
Mm-hmm.
And let me play for that similar position that I had myself. I want to play queen b6, actually. So we trade everything on d5, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
And we get a position like this. Now,
do you know what I mean now when I'm like, this feels like black's weight moves on the queen side have been wasted. The space there is more like targets.
It's not so clear to me, because in my game with Ivanchuk, the knight was on f3, where here, I know it looks stupid, but just humor me for a second. Imagine I play g6.
Okay.
No, then I must get my queen
to e6.
To e6.
But this is
okay.
But you're comparing. I mean, you were castled in your game, and here you have some serious decisions about, like, the move order is much worse, because you should be castled, and then you decide, do I gain the space?
That's right. That is right. So once again, we're looking at knight f6, rook d1, and yeah, okay, do this one more time. You trade everything on d5, you're happy, you won your pawn back. Queen e6.
So queen e6, I'm trying to figure out, do I play a funny looking move, try to punish you? Okay, e4 is tempting. Queen d1, I want to maybe do something there. But to be the most principled or direct, I'm guessing is e4, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so now I want to hit your rook. Knight f6.
So knight f6, I wanted to analyze this.
Wow. Okay.
But if there's a time to do an exchange sacrifice, this looks like the perfect time.
Yeah, well, my king's still stuck in the center. I mean, no, you're not going to get a better moment. Oh boy, this looks like Levon is in all of his glory.
Yes, this is like, he's just like dreaming of he wants to attack, he wants to create, as we talked about the other day, something aesthetic and harmonious. And well, here everybody's employed, as you've mentioned. I mean, the rook is about to be employed. The knight does its job right now. There's no time for g6 because of rook e5. Okay, obviously, after bishop f4, it becomes clear that something went wrong. But here, Yasser, the line you played is very logical. You're trying to... I mean, all the other lines give up something as well. There's nothing where we're like, okay, you're just a bit worse as black. You're worse as black, you have to suffer, but it's not catastrophic. The lines we're seeing, white maintains the initiative, and I think that's what he needs to avoid. If there's any line where he can just be like, I'm worse, but I can play this out with 12 minutes on the clock, then I'll take
12 minutes on the clock?
12 minutes? 12 minutes?
Jeez. Well, hold on. Knight d7, f6, I understand. Now, suddenly the pawn on d5 is triply defended because the queen on d8 and the knight on f6. But hold on, isn't there like a traffic jam on the king side for black? I mean, this knight on d8.
It's asking, sir. Black is asking for it. If I've ever seen asking for it, this is.
This is asking for it. Did you have that expression in Canada, cruising for a bruising?
Oh, all the time. Yeah.
All the time. Oh, very good, very good. That was a
cruising for a bruising, boy.
You're cruising for a bruising, boy. Okay, well, let's do the obvious, Rook D1, and let's just see why it's better to have the knight on F6 than the B6 square. I mean, um, I I'm guessing knight E7. Let's just
I'm
throw
actually
that.
gonna do something a bit funny, but I have an idea. There's a problem in some of these lines that white is starting to take and play e4, and the queen on d8 gets
Right
taken with check. I want to
with
play
a
queen
check.
d7 to unpin myself and actually prepare to play d4.
Makes sense.
And my
Okay,
idea is after
very
d4, if
logical.
white plays e3, I'll wait for white to take and then play c4 and close things down.
Right. All very, very, very logical, Eric. I think we were meeting such a move with E4,
Okay, so e4.
D4, E5.
So the queen was on d8 in the last line. So
Right.
now this is a little different, but maybe.
Oh yeah, all the subtleties
So
shifted
I go
somewhat.
here,
Yeah.
you take,
Yes.
and I go there.
Right. And
The,
here, I think black improved.
because I'm controlling f5 and my king also has space.
Yeah, 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 on a your king may have to go queenside.
Streaking.
It
Yeah.
look streaking. Okay, let's see queen d7 again because maybe there's some reason that I should start this variation with bishop g5 after queen d7.
Is that not inviting
My bishop on
h6 or this
Yeah,
move?
of course,
Okay.
but my bishop on c1 really isn't working. Okay, here I've got e3 maybe is a
That's what I wanted. I wanted
you
e3
did.
because I
Okay.
said like
I'm
well
not
I'm
sure
not
you're
sure about
getting out of the center in time. E3, okay,
okay,
h6, bishop takes
let me take care
f6,
first.
knight takes g2, I'm assuming.
But this is already a safer
A
version than what we just
concession.
this was my idea to play c4 here.
Ah, and my favorite move would be knight f5 here. I understand. I understand.
No, like if
Okay,
I get
queen.
d4, I can close down the d file, which is where a lot of the tactics were appearing.
Right. Okay, so this is where we're looking at rook d1, very common move.
Yes.
Queen d7. Yes. Queen d7. And now, okay, so now I need a good move here for ooh, ooh. I'm just thinking that a4 is a little bit awkward maybe for black. A4, take on b5. Uh,
Knight
I'm
takes.
guessing that knight takes, yeah. And I've got the A file open. That might be nice. How do I exploit it though?
But like I'm happy that the knight's off of h4 and I'm happy to trade bishops. So you can probably get something here, but again, we're not getting mated
It's not the
anymore.
worst. Yeah, it's
We're
not the
this
worst thing
is
that happened. Yes, that's exactly right. Okay, so A4, while attractive, looks too slow.
actually I'm
So we
starting
got
to
to,
feel a, I'm liking the lines I'm seeing now for black.
okay,
There's some resistance. He played g6. Um,
wow.
very provocative.
I, I was trying to play G6 in a situation where, you know, like Viktor Korchnoi did against Lev Polygaevsky. He tried G6 to sideline the knight. Korchnoi's idea was that after a move like E4, he wanted to play a blockade. He wanted white to play e4 and e4 takes d5 and then a blockade on the d6 square. But g6, ooh,
So there's one thing I like about Ivanchuk is that
yes,
I don't like studying opening theory too much. I know there's a
hmm,
necessity to do it a bit, and I
sure,
try to find examples of not examples, but well, you could say so. People who don't rely on it necessarily, they can use it and things like that. And
hmm,
Ivanchuk, he plays a lot of openings, but he's not like, let's say, renting out a supercomputer. He's not like he's a natural player. Like
right.
at the end of the day, he solves the problems over the chessboard.
He really,
He really does. He has a remarkable memory. A lot of he probably has some natural gifts, but he is, you know, in his own way a natural player. He's not computer influenced. Just
and
so yeah.
he's very fresh, uh, because he plays such a extraordinarily wide variety of opening lines as black. His approach is not stale. He really discovers, as you're kind of mentioning, at the board how to play. That is what makes him so extraordinarily dangerous for these top players. Is his approach is very, very creative. So e4,
You have
let
two
me,
options. Yeah, you can take
yeah,
first or play e4.
well, bishop takes d5, bishop takes d5. It really is my game with Ivanchuk, where White playing on the light squares with his majority, and I was playing uh, on the queen side with my majority. Knight f6 looks right.
I wanted to analyze this position with you.
Okay, bishop e7, take, take. This is not terrifying me with black, because I'll go queen e7. I'll fall for whatever it is that you want to do.
I have nothing. I just wanted to look at the 4-on-3 position.
Okay,
I have to spend a move here. You castle, I imagine.
castle. Yeah,
And
we talk about breathing a sigh of relief. You know, I'm out of Dodge, and maybe the worst is past. The
well,
storm.
yeah, you know, this is
Yeah.
the sort of position where yeah, you're not getting killed. And Ivanchuk, I mean, I'm sure he's mainly concerned about those lines where he doesn't get out of the opening alive. He'll take a worse position and defend that. But I was gonna
Well,
ask you with
here
the
the
time
mhm.
situation,
Yes,
if you
13
were if
minutes
you
till
were
one
to
hour
set
and nine.
the line, I'm talking about betting, like from this current position with this current situation, how would you, what percentage, or you can do,
Oh, I would see White, just again because of the clock, and again the position's very sharp. I would give White, much better chances of winning the game, much better chances of winning the game from the starting position. So I'm thinking that White is probably a 65% favorite here in
oof.
terms of score. In other words, you get this exact position to both players, and they'll play 10 games. White's going to score 6.5 points.
What do you think of this variation, Yasser?
I think it's great for White.
Thank you.
Yeah, the king on f8. But rook e1 check. Of course, I have to play king f8. So he's giving up castling privileges um, here, and White wants to play rook d1 and d6, just as you're showing. Uh, this position just feels very, very good for Levon, and Levon is going to be pleased as punch. And the time differential is so huge, Eric. That's so very meaningful.
Yep. No, it's 20. The prospect of making 23 moves in under 15 minutes here is scary. Although it's the
Yeah.
reigning world rapid champion playing black, so
Yes.
he's got some counter punches in time trouble.
Well, I remember one of the things that the St. Louis Chess Club had done that was very, very innovative is they had an Armageddon game, but it was a very intriguing Armageddon game. It basically went like this. Um, both sides start with 60 minutes. Okay, but here it comes. White has draw odds. Then the players can auction how much time they're willing to give up to play the black pieces. So, in other words, uh, I have White, I must win the game. Okay. Uh, or I have black and I must draw the game. Maybe it's I want to take the black pieces, but instead of having 60 minutes, I have to auction. Would I be willing to play the black side and have 40 minutes to 60 minutes? Would I be willing to play the black side and have 30 minutes to 60 minutes? And there was a couple of uh, games where basically I think the winning bid was 28 minutes,
Yeah,
right?
this was the U.S. Championship.
U.S.
Yeah, specifically,
Championship.
I watched. Yeah, yeah.
Right. And the point is they almost have a position where white is better and black is down to 14 minutes. Oh, he played queen e2 check, by the way, not rook e1.
Oh, this makes some
We we
sense.
we didn't look at queen e2 check. I think that that's actually a better move after a4, because you're eyeballing the b5 pawn
Well,
and
yeah,
basically
it's because of this
this
line.
loses a
Usually, you
piece.
could block with the queen, but this loses a piece.
Exactly. So a4 nicely messes up black's queen side structure now.
I think a clear indicator, Yasser, is how quickly Levon is playing, despite the huge amount of time on his clock left. He's feeling the position, and
Yeah.
he wants to really pressure Ivanchuk. He knows some of Vasily's weaknesses and time trouble issues. Look at how quickly he's playing when he doesn't need to. He can enjoy this position. While when you're Ivanchuk, you can't even go P because you might flag.
Yeah,
You're getting close
you
to
might
that point where you just got to sit at the board. He's playing quickly. He's playing seemingly extremely powerful moves, and I agree. This is. I mean, A4. He got a much better version. This is just
very good for white.
getting close
Sorry,
to lost or
he,
something. I
he
don't
he
know.
he played bishop e3, and no doubts that's a very strong move. Just take that move back for a second, because I thought I was channeling Levon. When Levon put his queen on e2, he's basically was spying the b5 as well as the a6 pawn. I was thinking that Levon might play d6 here. The idea is that if black is forced to trade on g2, then I'll take with the knight, but I'm gaining a tempo against the a6 pawn. If you play queen b6, just as you just put it on the board nicely, knight e3, and instead of having the great outpost f5, I've got the great outpost c4, and that looks like well, there's actually queen e7 made it. I may have just missed a simpler win, but this looks very positional win for white with the
Yeah,
knight coming
that's a convincing line, and it shows how bad this position is.
c4. But even
It shows how bad the position is. The line you just gave is
queen
convincing.
very
I
convincing.
was gonna say that maybe he played bishop e3, which looks like a very good move, anyways, because just having more pieces on the board, he's hoping he can maybe get that d6 shot in later, that with maybe even greater effect, because it's a bit harder as black to just come up with moves. But the move you gave, the variation you gave, looked clean. You get that knight to c4, get that pass
Right.
pawn. But this too, um, Ivanchuk's
It's
resorting to his queen as a blockade, which isn't
not a good
ideal. No,
sign.
not ideal.
Well, in fact, before the move bishop e3 was played, if you just take that move bishop
Sure.
c1 back, before this move was played, d6 very obvious. But the other question is maybe you should play bishop f4 also, right? Just very nicely, just teeing up
Okay.
things and bishop, bishop
Bishop e5
e5,
on
maybe
take,
f6.
and queen f6.
And well, you're making an argument here that well, I was going to say I find the move bishop f4 myself personally attractive. If you want to go knight h5 now, I'll go bishop e3,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll make the argument that, well, now you're giving me knight f5 as an option that I didn't have. So I was just wondering about three moves: d6, bishop e3, and bishop f4. But bishop e3 was played, and now the guy's gone queen d6. Now you could play bishop f4 with a gain of tempo.
Yeah. Yeah.
which is kind of funny.
Do you want to gain it now or do you want to gain it later?
That sounds like a
Because
commercial I remember. Either I'll change your oil now, or well, I like bishop f4. No,
but
bishop f4 really has
but don't
because where does the queen go?
no, I agree. I agree. But you think when you have this situation, look, I have three or
Yes,
four attractive moves. How do I go about
exactly.
this without, being inefficient, without being stuck in this loop of just they're all good, that they're indecisive? Do you think he's
Right,
like, let's keep it simple, let's put my pieces on good squares and let my opponent, make the mistakes for me? Rook A to
right.
C1, which has to be, just at least based on principle, a decent move, and just like,
Without question.
and or do
Well,
you calculate and decide which out of the three, do I prefer the most? Because this position, bishop f4, makes more sense. But last position, you gave three very good moves, and it's very hard for me to, you know, figure out
to
which
say
one do I
yeah,
do. I know with bishop
yeah,
b3, okay, then it's combined with rook ac1. I feel like that's the steady flow. Otherwise, bishop f4 makes a lot of sense too. It's just one of those
right.
tough situations. They all look really good. How do you decide?
I think that is a very good question. I when you're defending and you have only moves, you, in a sense you're kind of pleased because you have only moves. You have only one move. You only have one move. You only have one move. When you have a really excellent position like Levon has, and you've got three attractive options, that's where you can burn a lot of clock trying to decide which line is the most tempting: d6, bishop f4, bishop e3. Uh, Usually, as a rule of thumb, I'm going to go with the development, right? That move, that attractive option that brings more people into the party. The reason I was attracted to d6 was I really would like to put the knight on c4 because I know with the
Mm-hmm.
knight on c4, I'm killing the majority on the queen side, and that's got to be a lot. Okay, but here you make a very good point with
This
the
is on the
bishop
board.
on
Yeah,
e3.
yeah.
Yeah, rook c1. Okay, as black, I'm going to play knight d7
And he has to play right away.
because of the time situation. I'm going to play knight d7. My queen is a blockader, and I want to play bishop f6, king g7, and get my king side untangled.
I feel like this is a perfect moment to switch to the other game because now
Please,
I've run out of natural moves as white. That at least that seemed
yes,
obvious. The rook was the last piece that I felt
to
needed,
enter the party.
and
Yeah,
now Levon will think a bit. He sees Ivanchuk is playing what seems to be the right. Oh no, no, he played right away. So he's keeping the putting the time pressure, keeping him in the chair. But I do want to quickly swing over to
keeping the pace. Yeah.
see if anything significant has happened
Ah,
here.
Peter Spidler, MBL. Yeah. By the way, maybe it's the round for the C4 square. It's the occupation of the C4 square that is caught. I like White's position a lot, like a lot. I would put White as high as Levon. I think White just has a dream.
This looks amazing. I agree. I mean, are you playing h5 or g3 next move, or are you?
I'm playing E5. I'm playing E5, and
You're
I'm
not
playing
keeping all
knight.
your pawns on light squares. Yeah.
No, I'm killing the knight on B7.
Okay. So
I'm
here.
playing E5. Oh, I didn't get the tempo that I wanted. Uh, I I had intended, of course, to play F4, knight E4, and kill ya. Here, I'm the tempo behind. You're hitting the D3 pawn too fast. So sorry, I misspoke.
I thought you were just gonna gang up on this pawn and
Of
then decide,
course.
but like
I
via doubling and knight b3 because it's hard for black to defend because there's a d4 move.
Yeah, then like you say, I have to take along G3 or H5 in that process. but to my eyes, this looks like a wonderful, wonderful position for white.
I completely agree. It's White's king is better placed. He's got all the squares. He's got the trump. I mean, black's pawns are on the wrong color, and c5 is eternally weak.
Right.
This, yeah, I
And then
agree.
the
This is
and the knight on b7 is like one of those pathetic pieces that you can imagine that if white gets in a move like you say, knight b3 and e5, the the knight is going to be tortured because it's just it's it's terrible.
I think of where I'd like to put my knight if I'm playing black, or just like envision what's a good square. And I mean, I see e5, which is a I can't get for sure, and d4 is not where that knight wants to go because white doesn't
I've got
mind doing that exchange. The knight on d2
right.
has outposts, and it's just going to pick up pawns. These advanced pawns in the endgame, black's bishop sort of reduced to passivity. I don't even know what a good setup is. Ganging up on the d3 pawn was my first instinct because there are no other chinks. There's no other weaknesses. White's armor is
Yeah,
very intact.
yeah. Um, Wonderful. Yeah. How did Peter get such a nice position, actually? Can we just kind of go back and see? Uh, we left it more or less around h4 parts. Uh, okay. Go back, go.
Well, we
He
left. We
played
saw this
nine.
position. This was the last position we had.
Did we? Okay. I was
But maybe it was
probably
when we were disconnected. Yeah, yeah.
when I was disconnected. Okay, White played not knight g5, White played 11 knight b5. Okay, that's a different. We were looking at trying to utilize the h pawn, but knight b5, bishop e6. Okay, bishop f4, knight takes b5, bishop takes, queen b6, bishop a4, queen a6, rook c1, b5, bishop b3. This is how the c pawn became weak. Okay, bishop e3, knight a5, yeah, queen c3, b4, and already things are starting to become grim. Once white played queen c4.
Threatening to win a pawn. b4,
Hmm.
queen c2, knight b7, and
Now already things are grim.
yep.
Uh, because first of all, with the queens off traded, it means that the king's position on f1 is not undermined in any way. The king is going to be not only safe, but actually very strong on e2 in the center of the board. So after this trade, white basically took over and black's earlier moves, because this is a position that's just bad. It's just bad for black.
There's no way to get rid of your weaknesses. C4 is just
Mm,
way too protected by white to ever, get, C5 is a pawn you want to trade off. Trade off
right.
is, there's no situation where that happens. I this this is getting very
This getting
critical, very critical. If we don't see some setup very soon by MVL, d-
he's going to be
is
flushed.
he
Yeah.
trying to do something like rook c6, rook a6?
Okay. At least
I
it's
just want to show an
something.
example. It
Right.
actually makes a little bit of sense.
Right.
That's one benefit of b4. I'm trying to justify why my pawns are sunken in and on the wrong color. They're
I
gained
remember
space, artificial space.
I remember an earlier round where I had wanted to do something like this for black. I had wanted to go like, I don't know, rook g8 to g6 to a6.
It was
And you were
Corey
laughing.
against Jones.
There you go. You were laughing, and I was saying, okay, but okay, you've activated your rook, but I don't believe this. I think, uh, Eric, rook fc8, g3 was fine, rook c6 was fine. In this position, yeah, g3 was fine, rook c. I think you should go b3, just to be able to meet rook a6 with rook c2, and that's a nice setup for white.
Well, you're not very fun, are you?
No,
You're not.
shut.
You weren't the fun kid. That's well.
It's cool. Yeah, Rook C2.
Well, there.
And look at that knight. I'm just gonna let you suffer with this knight on B7. And now I get my chance maybe to play E5 and knight E4, which was what I was dreaming about, 10 minutes ago or so.
I was trying to figure out. Can I get two rooks on the A file? Nope. Nope. There's no way to double.
No,
Although what? Okay, the other option. See, you played B3 after Rook A6. If you do
right.
B3 before Rook A6, which may come to somebody's mind, which I think would be a bit of a mistake. I just want to give an example. Let's say B3 here.
Sure.
Then Black would
Exactly.
immediately play A5, A4, and at least have a bit of a target. Try to create B3 as a weakness and get counterplay via the B3 pawn. So timing is very important here. But Peter, okay, he went for A5. Peter is, a good technical player. Um,
Knight
I
D2, Rook FC8, Knight D3, A5. Okay, what am I missing? Why is white encouraging A4? Oh,
so
it's black to, pardon me, it's white to play. Oh,
yeah.
okay, sorry. Knight B3, A5, Rook C1. Okay, now we've got to ask, what does MVL have in mind? I'm not feeling it, Eric.
Well, are you? I'm not feeling what Peter did necessarily. I'm winning C5, but I'm giving up a pawn. Was it necessary to give this counterplay? Was it clear that the knight should go on
Ah,
B3?
of course you're right. We were always playing G3. That was the diff. We
I'm
we liked our H pawn.
well. I feel like
I do.
this is a permanent weakness. I don't need to even go one for one. I want.
No, that is a good point.
So in the Sinkfield Cup, these two players played, and somebody blundered horrifically. If I recall, it was like a queen endgame, and he allowed a perpetual. I think MVL was doing well against
Right. No, it was the other way around. Peter Spidler had a huge advantage, and he blundered
a
a
queen
D,
perpetual.
D
Yes,
a D5.
yes.
This incredible break. He got this lucky shot in, and he was able to draw the game.
Yeah, and it was Peter was really kicking himself. That was a position he was supposed to convert, and I thought he was going to convert. Um,
We all did.
so this
Yes,
is the second
absolutely.
time in recent memory where he's had a big edge against MVL.
Hmm.
Also, in the previous World Cup, Peter gets good positions. Peter's he. If I think of guys who get swindled more than they swindle other people, Peter's in
Yeah,
that list where he gets a lot of good positions. He could do even better from them. He's always but he gets tricked more than he does a tricking. He's a
somehow.
very he because positionally he's exceptionally strong, but he can have some problems with converting or allowing some unnecessary counterplay. If I'm going to talk at the absolute top level,
Absolutely,
if
yeah.
that's
No,
fair to
I
say, I don't
get
know if
it.
you agree, but yeah, if you know what I'm trying to
Uh,
say,
oh, without
he's
question.
not a
I
swindler and things like that.
yeah, he has been swindled too many times for a player of his extraordinary caliber. Um, A4, weird move. Could I did I I'm kind of aghast at what to say.
Yeah, sir, I gotta interrupt you because Ivanchuk has
Sure.
resigned, and I have to say I predicted it because it's move 24, and he has resigned, so it's a miniature, and just an overall absolute, just what a disaster.
Debacle.
Like
Yeah, it was complete debacle.
getting yourself in this position, this time trouble is simply unacceptable.
Yes.
And a lot of people would lose. Aronian
Hmm.
played normal moves, and that was crazy, right? He had good options. He didn't need to find the best moves. Like,
He just played
maybe even
a
I could
series.
have done well in this position. Like as you said, what is every squirrel finds a nut? What's the saying?
Yeah, even a blind chicken can find in a corn,
Yes.
a
So
kernel,
with these natural moves, White just has a huge edge. Knight d2. That knight's going to c4
or
and
E4.
or
Yeah,
e4, d6, and a
yeah.
resignation, and you could say premature, but the position is so lost. I mean, let's say you play king h7,
Everything,
knight
yeah,
f6. I could take this, put my bishop on b5, c5 falls. It really is a lost position, but the time situation makes it so much worse in terms of
hmm
how you shoot. You know, you get upset at yourself. Unforced
yeah,
error, unforced errors. I mean, this is
yeah.
bad.
This really looks like a play on own goal, and something came. The wheels came off very early. Move 9, in fact, is when Ivanchuk went into the long think wrong think routine, and phew, he's totally unrecognizable. His worst game of the tournament by far. I mean, off the chart. We've often talked about, which Vasil Ivanchuk is going to show up, the creative genius or the guy who goes into a tank and plays a lot of bad moves. Today we saw the latter.
What a
Wow.
disaster! I mean, this was
This
a
is
no
not a
show.
contest. Yeah,
This
this was not a contest. This was cracking.
the easiest game of the year for Aronian, maybe. I mean, he
Yeah,
didn't have any tough decisions.
not at all. Wow.
I wanted to, before we go to this Fiddler's game, because that game, at
Yes.
least it's not tactical yet.
hmm
Do you ever feel when you take too much time on a move because you're concerned about a variation that your
hmm
opponent will catch on and figure out why is my opponent taking so
Of
long?
course. Of
And
course.
and in this position, if you take an hour as black or
Yeah.
play z5, it's obviously not because so even if Aronian didn't have d5 planned, you
hmm
that's the lead to look at d5 because why else is my opponent taking so much time?
Thank you
And
so
then you
much.
realize
Yeah.
then you find out what they're uncomfortable about and then you
Ah,
play against it.
right.
So
You sort of like you go it's an aha moment. That's why he's spending so much
but
time.
then like so even if d5 wasn't originally planned and whatever, it's just it's you're spending so much time and it
You're alerting me.
yes.
You're raising my awareness level. No, I remember this idea of osmosis. It was in a world championship of Korchnoi versus Karpov. Karpov had this enormous team, and there was some adjourned position. The point was that Karpov was losing, and none of the Soviet players came to the resumption of the adjournment because they all knew he was losing, and they didn't want Korchnoi to be alerted by just being there
Just being there, yes.
and having the long faces or whatever it is that would alert you to like, hey, look, like everybody on that side of the
Yes.
aisle is
Yeah, no, nobody go to the game. No, I know what you mean.
nobody go to the game. Okay, so uh, there's a like imagine that you were if I were black here, by the way, and I like Ivanchuk got worried about d5. What do you think about the move knight f6?
Mm-hmm.
And now if you play rook d1, I'll play c5, right? And then you don't get the d5 in the nice way. So therefore, you're probably going to play e4 after knight f6. Is that right?
So rook d1,
Well,
c5,
rook c5.
c5. So you're saying that here I
Well,
can just simply take with a knight, right?
yeah, this isn't the nice.
And I have knight b4 at tempo.
Yeah,
Um,
this isn't the nice. What? Yeah. So now
but
you
isn't
play e4. I
no I
take.
take.
Yeah, and well, this is a lot more. Well, the game was no fun whatsoever for black. Here, at least he's got b5, b4 kind
Yeah.
of trickies.
I mean, it's not
You
that easy to achieve e5. You can maybe get queen c7 and bishop d6. Yeah.
right.
Well, I said
So
knight f6.
so
Yeah.
likely. Hold on. So sorry.
Sure.
So likely speaking, you have to play e4.
Okay.
No,
Mm.
not rook d1.
Oh, you mean e4 right away?
E4 right away.
Not
To,
knight
to
e5.
not 95. No. So e4 right away.
Shut
c5.
down.
c5. Now d5 to get back to the game position, right? And now here, wouldn't you want to include the move knight f6? I'm just saying there was something in the game, right? Like where the knight on g8 was just terrible, terrible. I'm looking for improvements for Ivanchuk's play, and I think I have to go back to move 9.
I mean, any more?
Finally.
I'm happy with any more development. Yeah, so knight f6 was my first instinct.
Yeah.
Not it's just the most natural move. It's not the most
Because
critical. C5 is more critical because it questions white center and it's provocative. But
Mhm.
as I said, somebody, if I wasn't theoretically well prepared in this line, which
Yeah.
Ivanchuk clearly actually wasn't, or he forgot it, or there was just one detail he couldn't remember. If I'm not
Right.
theoretically prepared, then I'm absolutely playing knight f6. I'm not going to play c5
Right.
if I'm not prepared.
Well, another one that we'll just put away for the moment and just say, ugh. Congratulations, Levon, but ugh. Yeah, now we can return to the Peter Spidler game and kind of dissect this move a4 by white because
By
uh,
black.
by white, move
Oh,
26.
this one. Okay.
I don't know, I don't understand this move, a4. So let's say we had played rook c1, which I think was the intention. Now, you take on h4, right?
I'm trying to see. That seems too simple. That's what they avoided because even if you take on h4, this endgame is
Precisely.
looking bad. I don't think Peter would miss that. Is there a way our rook gets trapped here or anything like that? So, okay, bishop takes h4 is what we're going to look at, but I just want to double
Right.
check that there's nothing else
Sure.
because it seems almost too
But
basic. I'd rather win a
yeah,
c like okay, like compared to the game.
yeah,
Um, so a4 knight takes c5.
yes.
Uh, I can't.
Looks
I don't see how to. I'm trying to find some sort of tactic, but I mean, even b4 is hanging, and the rook on c1.
before
But this line, okay, we'll go at the direct line. So bishop takes here, knight takes
knight
d6.
takes. Yeah,
Now, if you go here, I mean, I put my rook back on c2,
right.
and
And white's a happy camper, right? Because
for
of just
sure.
I just got better central control with d4. So I was thinking knight c5, rook c5, rook c5. And okay, the material count is equal, but white's play, we're talking about Levon just playing natural moves. White's play is White's position kind of plays itself. He wants to go d4, king d3, king c4, create a pass pawn, and black's queen side is frozen.
Yeah, I mean, black's past h pawn or potential is very far off and very hard to achieve. But
Long,
white's not
long,
risking anything in pushing this position and just yeah, yeah. I mean, you play d4, I don't
it's
know,
a
go for a5.
simple,
This is very bad. The pawns are too advanced. They're going to be
right.
picked off. Rooks can't be traded off. Bishops probably can't be traded off because it's a strong rook versus passive rook.
Hmm.
This is a clear edge. So is it
For free.
Peter's logic is, well, okay, they have this endgame that I can do even better than that by going for this. Right?
Okay,
Is that the only
so
is
yeah,
that must be what he's thinking. I can do even better than that, which
with the move a4, which I don't understand. Um, because in the variation that we just had, which was rook and bishop versus rook and bishop, black had pawns on a5 and b4. And now there's only one pawn on the queen side, by the way, and the pawn on a4 for black is a kind of an achievement, right? Because
yeah, it gives
you
more
know
space for the rook. It fixes
more
us on a dark
space,
square. More pawns have been
right,
traded, which is a good thing
for the defender.
for the defender. I'm perplexed. I mean, this wasn't a hard position. This is such a there weren't critical options here. I mean, the most
No,
natural moves were correct unless we're really missing something. Sorry, knight b3,
I think you went knight
a5.
b3,
What
rook
are we
c5.
missing here? Because it plays itself. I feel like it's too simple to. How can I like?
I'm
Did
a
Peter?
simple man.
It's an H
Uh,
pawn for a C pawn. Okay, I'd rather even not do that. But Black played the most critical line where he really questions it. We don't have time for G3. But if I am gonna trade, I'm only gonna trade the one pawn, the H for the C. Assume the C file, and keep more pawns on the
Have
board
a
because my
have a
king,
center
yeah, I
expansion very, very shortly as well. This looks just very comfortable for, not saying it's winning, not saying that after bishop takes h4, knight takes c5,
I'm saying it's
uh,
close to winning. I think
uh,
because
but it just feels like, there's two results, which is already an achievement.
there's some serious strategical pressure here that you could be lost very quickly. Put if you put the rook here or get the king into a4,
Right.
or just put the rook on the seventh and push the d pawn
Hmm.
naturally. Um, I don't know. I'm
It feels great for white.
this is the thing. MVL is a very active defender. There's defenders who will grovel, who can play. There's the Alf Andersons. There's the
Yes.
MVLs who use tactical solutions to solve their positions, who like space, who like tactics, and they're when they don't have that room to work with, they find it a lot harder to operate.
Right.
And the position we had just looked at was simple to understand, and there aren't tactics with a bishop and a rook, and like a lot
Right.
fewer than when there's a knight on a board, and when there's more weaknesses. So also just based on the player he's playing against, it doesn't seem like the correct choice.
Yeah. I'm not doubting that white still has an advantage. Let me be clear. I'm just wondering, I'm doubting that the advantage he currently has is as good as the one he could have had by force, full stop.
I don't know what
Like
we're,
that.
yeah, but like, isn't it even on? Yeah, no, I agree. Just off of general principle, it also makes like every factor has favored this. He must have missed something in this resulting continuation. I don't know what that would be. That he thought here he would. I don't know. Was it rook b8 that he missed? Maybe he just thought he was winning a full pawn. Yeah, so maybe he thought he just didn't see this move, and he was assuming he was just winning a pawn. Because if he's winning a full pawn, I can understand that. Is it possible he missed this move?
Yes, of course, that
And
must be
and
it.
he thought,
That
okay,
the
let's say we play g3 just to show the
Yeah, to
position.
show the point,
And again,
knight
this is
b5,
knight b5.
and you get the a3 pawn, which is definite counterplay, big time counterplay. He has missed rook c8 b8.
I
I'm
think
I'm convinced.
I'm starting to be convinced about that because
Yes.
this yeah, now
Otherwise, yeah.
well, MVL, we know what he's gonna do. He's gonna play against his pawn. He's gonna get some space for his king. I'm not sure, maybe h5 or f5. Well, not f5, but probably h5. Yeah, okay, white is still better for sure, but a big opportunity missed because that endgame is. I've lost endgames like that very quickly, very 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 quickly. So this game is going to go a lot longer. Well, I mean, now
Yeah.
it's unclear to me because before you were assessing it, Yasser, that this was a
Two
huge
results.
advantage, but you were saying it was even
Right.
higher than the Levon game. Well, we didn't know
Yeah.
that Ivanchuk.
Yeah, yeah. I thought that Peter Spidler was about to achieve was as good as Levon's advantage, which he won in 4 moves.
And but now, how do you assess it?
Um, only slightly
Closer,
better for
only
white.
slightly better. Well, that's a
So,
huge
yeah,
miss.
yeah. Uh, well, I can see the move I'm looking at is bishop c5. Bishop c5 looks kind of forcing. I don't know. I was going to go knight b5 because I got a trick. I got a trick with knight d4 check.
You're but you want me to play what? You want me to walk into the check. That's good.
No, no, no,
You're
no, no, no. I'm saying you
you
can't
can't
take
take.
my bishop. You probably have to go king e3, and now I've got time for king f8, right? So, okay, d4. Um, how bad is this? I don't know. Bishop takes c5, rook takes c5. Rook
Well,
B8.
I know this looks weird, but I'm actually considering this. Is it too much, Yasser? Is it too much to actually consider this? To actually give my king some more
No,
space? I want to go rook b6 on a good day.
I I understand. My knight on B5 looks a little ugly, so E5. I'll give my knight a good square on D4. Okay. Maybe it's time for me to bring my. Ooh, I was gonna go Rook D8, Rook B1, but I'm not sure about that king and that.
Don't I have this move?
Yes, I'm not sure about this rook. And wait a minute, hold on. Yeah, I do have a majority on the king side. So okay, I'm just thinking probably my pawn needs to be on H4 for me to have the counterplay I need. Okay,
But let's go.
sorry. Yes, let's go back. Let's go back. So King E3 makes sense. King F8 makes sense. Your D4 is very logical. Maybe I shouldn't trade on C5 so
Well,
quickly.
I was also going to ask, how do you meet this?
King takes.
And knight c3 with just the.
And you're trying to round up my dupes
It's
on
just
A4.
yeah, an unpleasant defense because
Hold on.
Okay.
What's Rook A5?
Yeah, rook a5.
Not
Rook
my
a5. I was gonna go
favorite
check.
choice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, King has to go to F6. All right, let me just play King F6 and close my eyes for a moment. H5, H5, G5, go G5, G5.
Okay, fine. No G5 for you.
No G5. Oh no. Oh my pieces are going to get gummied up in this case.
I'm happy that you.
I feel like I'm playing a pawn down or something. H6. Okay, just go ahead and kill the variation for a second. Let me just see why I'm busted.
Kill the variation.
Well, or show.
Well,
Okay.
I have to take. Let me think about this.
And ruin a perfectly good analysis with a thought.
Thoughts.
Okay,
what do you suggest? G3 or G4? I mean, this looks okay. This is good for white, but I'm not sure to what extent. But this is white is still in the driver's seat here at least.
Yes. My rook on A5 and knight on B5 are definitely no bargains. Having said that, the knight on B1 has if the knight were on C4, it would be a totally it'd be one actually. But
I even want to
okay.
get. I even want to almost. The problem is I don't get knight c4 tempo because your knight's on a3. Because otherwise I get knight e5 and I start checkmating you in this position.
Exactly.
But it doesn't quite work. I don't see anything really good there. Yasser still looks good for white, but I don't see a knockout unless you do.
No. Refresh the current moment. Let's just
Bishop
see where
c5,
the play.
knight b5 on the board, Yasser, and that makes a lot of sense. And
King E3, so they're getting our variation. King F8, which is logical. You get out of the back rank mate. You bring your king a little bit into civilization. Now, last time you played a really good move, I think. You played D4. Did Black have a better choice after D4? Because I sure wasn't happy about my Rook A5. Ooh. What's Rook D8?
Rook to David 8.
Yes.
Okay, well, for one thing, I can take and play Rook C4.
Correct. That is one thing.
And how do you meet?
No idea.
Let's go
I
here.
am going to play to activate my rook somehow. Okay, I'll take on C5 and Rook D1. And a moment ago, my rook was on A5, and I hated my position. Here, I feel like I'm in with a shout. What's this? I can take a pawn. I can go rook a1. Hmm. Okay, I'll go for the knight ending. I'll go rook a1.
I think my idea here was to play this.
Okay, so now you're going to checkmate me, yay. And I'm going to be a pawn up, yay. Okay, give me the pawn. gift, gift the pawn.
Gifts
Give the
for
precious.
Yasser.
Yes, give the precious. Okay, I got to move my king. Yay. Ooh, you're not trying to checkmate me. Okay, that's kind of a success. Okay, king f6. Yeah, oh, you're trying to win your pawn back. You rotten thing. I don't know. I think this is pretty close to a draw now.
Well, it's not the smoothest way. I mean, I wasn't sure what
Yeah,
we were gonna do here either.
no idea. It
But
was
it's not.
associated with the a pawn being a factor.
Show me.
Oh, knight c2 check.
No king d3.
No king d3. Knight b4. Yay. Now maybe you're going to play rook a7. I don't know. Okay, so now you are going to checkmate me. Yay. Now the question is, do I like my pawns? I kind of do, but I don't know. A3, rook f7. King g8, rook b7. Rook b7. Because you're threatening me.
Oh, yes. Good point.
Now, here, I was hoping that after knight c6, I would have some trickies. No, I can't. What am I saying? I can't move my.
So you have here take.
Yeah,
take.
Right.
Take,
this was my tricky
but
idea.
It's not so clear to me because I give a check. I take.
Yes.
You go here.
And you're gonna win with your.
Oh, my king is on the wrong square.
Yes.
Let's say here. No.
Yes.
wait, where do I put my king?
Well, C1 runs into D1. I don't know. You run into all kinds of problems. No.
Oh, there's nowhere to put the king. What the heck? No, but it was supposed to be. It was almost.
It
was supposed to be such a nice variation, Yasser. This was.
It was. No. You set me up beautifully. You really.
Oh, okay, okay. So we can just do this better. There's no reason to take. If I'm gonna lose my rook, there's no reason to do it now.
Start with c6.
Okay. That's right. Okay, or start with a check. Okay, that was that. I was about to uncork something nice, and I had to ruin it with my Canadian analysis. There we go. There we go.
But that's a nice variation. Again, I was looking just to. I was hoping that my a pawn was going to be a factor. Your c pawn, as it turned out, my king, my knight, got messed up. So restore the current position, Eric, because I think those are the types of variations what we can anticipate. Black needs to develop his rook. You need to take advantage of my poor king. So I think this all started from d4, rook d8, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was a fun variation. Can we see it again?
Oh, you want to go for rook d8? Okay. Oh, if you had fun, then I had fun.
Oh, yeah. No, I thought it was great fun. So I took... Why did you play rook a6 and not rook b6, by the way? You could at least kick my knight to maybe a lesser square.
It would have been this line that I didn't evaluate this as a lesser square.
Ah, okay, I understand. Okay, thank you. Okay, clear. So that was why you played rook a6. Very good. And yeah, so d4, rook a6. Now in this position, e5 you'll take and go d5, right? Okay, I'm not sure, Eric. Could we look at that? E5, D5, E5, bishop takes E7, D5, right?
Well, you also have to justify why I can't take this.
I was going to go rook A1. Rook D1 attack, then, yeah. And rook A1. This is a 4 versus 3 knight ending, right? No, this is a better version than that other one where my king had to go to F6. Knight takes A3. Yay. Now I'm much happier. Last time you had like a pawn on D6.
No, but this is still complex. Very to me.
Oh, of course. No,
I mean that black is, you know, it's easy to play for white because okay, black just tries to push the pawn, but has to worry about getting like white I just go for mate here, and it's like all the critical choices are in black's hand.
Black is the one that's really up against it. No question.
F4 and rook A7, Yasser. Is this a better version? Because I like that extra pawn. If I win F7, now I have mating nets.
Okay, so let's just continue the line for just a quick sec. Knight C2 check. Where do you go with the king? Probably, well, oh, there.
Okay, I mean, this is also it. Okay.
Yeah. And I was going to go knight B4. You were going to go check. I was going to go king E6. Last time, like, my king was on F8 or something. Okay, so why am I unhappy here? I have to go... Ooh, F6.
Why are you unhappy? Because, well, I'm close to a mating net there. Peter, he went for this line, but I want to revisit the line you quickly proposed.
Yes, we were trying.
Because I thought this was very, very, very shaky to allow.
Shaky ground?
Yes.
The floor underneath my feet is sinking. Sorry, you were going to go F4, did you say?
Yeah.
And if I go F6?
It's the only move. I'm looking at knight F5 there. Still looks like a pleasant variation for me. If take,
right,
check here, I can take, check. And G5. I can start. I don't know. Yeah, G5, huh? Oops, what the heck just happened?
Just some funky.
It's some funky stuff, but white's
not, for choice.
White's so.
Oh, I always thought white was for choice. Sorry, me. I like white's position.
But I mean for choice. I mean that's just concrete. I don't know who arrives where first.
Yeah.
But.
By the way, no, G5. There's knight F5. I got to be careful about mate, right?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, so.
So he didn't go for that line. He went for take, and just a simpler line where actually you proposed rook A5.
I'm not happy about that proposition, by the way. I was just like, you know, I don't like the rook on A5 and B5 construction. White's going to play D4. I was hoping that I would get to play H5 and G5 and have some counter on the king side.
So you went for H5.
Well, he's essentially white is rounding up the pawn on A4, right? Oh,
but you can't. So this is see this. Do you think Svidler missed another variation, Yasser? Because, sorry, that's the.
I was about to say, is that the Metro or the Amtrak or something?
It's the garbage truck, here to pick me up again. The power has gone out 3 times in the last 2 days. I am livid.
Really?
Yes.
You're not even in Hurricane Irma's or Hurricane Harvey or
trying to keep
path.
Trying to keep me down.
They're trying to keep you down.
But yeah.
No.
This is you're not threatening to take with a rook because take knight b5 wins the pawn.
Precisely.
If you take with the knight, well, the knight can't move because a3. Stuck. So h5 is a very correct choice by MVL, realizing there isn't as a serious threat in the
No, this
position.
is not as not. No, every position we looked at earlier, Eric, was nicer for white than this one. This is the least clear advantage uh, that we've seen. We thought that white was getting more than this.
I do not like how Peter's been converting this one bit. Question for you,
Mhm.
Yasser. Is this time
Sure.
to go into the rook endgame?
Which exactly which one did you have in mind? Oh, you mean with knight b5?
Is there anything here to try to get a rook endgame, push that d pawn, use the better king, and do something?
I think the black king is just too close,
Give me,
no?
give me.
Okay, so let me take knight takes, rook takes, g6. I'll just I like my pawn. Okay, king f6. Wow.
Well, I don't
That's,
want to play d4 because I don't want to necessarily
well, here we'll
expose
just make a
myself.
draw right away.
What?
You don't want to expose yourself.
Why is this a
Yeah,
draw?
and neither do our viewers, by the way. They definitely don't want you to expose yourself. Rook c8. Keep your business to yourself. Rook c2. Gift me your pawn. Now you better make a draw.
Yes.
You better agree to a draw very fast because that H
Okay,
pawn is
okay.
going
Well,
to
but
this.
okay. You're yeah, yeah. No, the a pawn's not. No, no. It's
Not not good enough. The other line I thought was very funny too. I wasn't sure about that. Imagine this. Let's try your line again. Knight b5 for just a moment, Eric. Knight takes b5, rook takes b5, rook h8. Okay.
yeah. This was an interesting line. I was again. I was gonna play f4.
You were going to play. Yes, because I was thinking if you played rook a5, I would going to go h4. You were going to take my pawn, and I was going to go g5. And I'm getting a passer over there
Well,
too. I mean, king up. Yeah, king f6. Okay, h3. And take.
well.
Oh, no. Wait a minute. Your pawn was supposed to be on f3. How did you manage to trick me? You tricked me nicely here. It might still be a yeah. It might
Unnecessary.
if
Unnecessary.
necessary.
But I know what you mean by just leveraging that pass pawn and
Yeah,
forcing me to be passive. Um, this is preferable for white, but it feels like most of the advantage is gone, and now it's going to require some inaccuracies and a lot of work.
yeah. I think that Peter is going to feel that this has gone wrong and that he's frittered away what I thought was a really nice advantage. You know, it's funny too. By in this exact position, you know, he could have had rook and bishops of the same color, right? Instead, he's got like rook and knights, where black's kingside counterplay exists. And the other line that we looked at with rook takes c5 and rook takes c5, black's kingside counterplay wasn't visible at all.
Can't disagree one bit there, Yasser. Peter is botching this right now. Now,
That's a
not
nice
with like clear
botch.
blunders, but you know, to put down MVL, who's an elite player, is gonna need a very fine technical performance. And so far, he had a dream position, but two or three
Hmm.
second best moves, maybe third best moves, and I think MVL's getting close to restoring the balance. That knight on d6 as a Grunfeld player, very common to see this. Just sort of
Hmm.
controlling b7, keeping the e pawn honest, because do you want to give up f5 square. That's one nice thing about h5, because otherwise white would
Right.
play g4, and then e5 is
Right.
possible.
And then
Here,
he's giving the push. So f4, very logical move, gaining some space. And by the way, I think it was important to stop g5. If black had been on move and black could have played the move g5, I think he's really out of the woods suddenly. But f4, okay, white's still for choice. Can we begin h4?
so can we agree on move 40? We can take a quick break.
Oh,
We're
absolutely.
on move 38
Do,
right
do, do,
now.
do you need a break now?
No,
I
no, no,
mean,
no, no, no,
they
no.
have plenty of time. They have plenty of
No,
time.
no. I will not take a break unless you take a break. I already get picked on enough that you're
Why do you get
sustaining,
picked on?
because you 5 hours into the broadcast you're pounding away in the rook and bishop end games, and my head
And
hurts and I'm
and
yawning, and everyone sides with Yasser. So I'm not leaving this
oh,
chair until you leave this chair. Um,
okay. I see how it is.
I'm
We're gonna have to beg our audience to give you uh,
no.
an
I no,
easier
I'll stay.
go.
I'll stay. I was just thinking about you, Yasser.
No, I'm passionate about chess.
I know.
And by the way, again, I'm the biggest fan of these players. I think what they do and how they handle themselves under pressure is really, 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 really remarkable. And I know that when they come and they make, their novelties at move 25, I know how much time they put into those novelties. So, like I feel their performance,
Hmm.
they give me energy by their willingness to work so hard at the board. By the way, I'm looking at, is this our current position with f4?
Yes.
A moment ago, I was critical of the fact that my rook on, on a8 went to a5. Here, I'm torn. I'm torn between two moves. The move I really want to play is rook g8 and g5. Then I think my rook is eyeballing the g2 pawn, and I'm happy. The the other move I really want to play is rook a5 and g5. On the one hand, if I play rook g8, I'm giving my opponent the option of rook a6 that he wouldn't otherwise have, right?
Right.
But I want my rook on g8 because I want to eyeball x-ray the g2 pawn.
The issue with this, I thought, was rook a6, and after g5, I have rook a7 check.
Correct. King f6. I can't walk into e5. So I have to do it. If I want to go for this g5 counterplay business, I'd have to do it with rook a5.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
not. I'm not saying. I mean, black's pretty solid. Black doesn't have to play.
I'm being
What?
provocative.
Provocative, my ass. Uh, uh, it's what Victor Korchnoi would say to me. Yeah, sir. Before you violate the rules of strategy, you should first know them. You know, any French defense player would look at that f5 square and say, like you just like blundered horrendously. What are you doing, Eric? E5?
I'm
Are you
I'm I'm
serious?
trying to check you. I'm bringing my knight in, and I'm just
Oh
I'm
no.
just analyzing. I'm
Okay. Knight f5 check. You're cruising for a bruising, boy. Oh, King d2. I thought you were going to go King e4 or something ridiculous. No idea what you were doing there. Okay.
I know it looks very strange, but
Wow.
I feel like we have to analyze it just because you know sure, I've made some
Just
weaknesses here,
because?
but I'm threatening to maybe now corral the pawn since the knight is off the d6 square, and also maybe I'll give a check and then go for it. But at least there's something concrete about it.
It's very concrete.
So
There's no
it's
question
it's
about that.
not it's not the silliest. I was looking at variations like this. I'll give you an example. Knight here, g3, and
Mm-hmm.
now knight f5 because you want to induce a weakness. But this is the
Okay.
sort of position I wanted to evaluate. knight in the knight e4, and it's like, okay, I give a square, but I get a square.
No, I'm not going to give up two tempi just to force you to
Well,
advance your
well, well.
pawn.
Tell me this: why did he play f6?
He wants to play g5. Black wants to play g5. I
You're telling me
was
he wasn't afraid of Hansen's specialty?
No, he wasn't afraid of Hansen's specialty. Hansen's specialty. What is a Hansen's specialty? Is that like,
What's so funny? I'm serious.
let me blunder my position now. Hansen, from Black's point of view, Black wants to counter the majority that White has in the center, and he wants to activate his G and H pawns and get a passer on the king side.
Is this the problem? G5? What? Like, I was waiting for you to give me a variation, though. You didn't. At least
No,
if
knight
you
H4 is terrible.
no,
My knight is
not knight H4. I'm just asking. Can you refute my line? I know it looks bad. I just want to look at it.
Okay, sure. Refute. Well, no. My knight on f5 is superb. Let me just relish that beauty on f5. Okay, sure. G5. Let's try.
Okay, no G5. Yeah, no G5 is is a problem. Okay, so check. King here.
King has to go back. Yeah. You eta.
I'll take.
Yeah, I'll eat. And now my knight goes to a nice square. Where does my knight go? Where does my knight go? Where's a nice square, Eric? Okay, d4 is a nice square.
We actually got a donation for that, for your quotes.
What was my quote?
Well, you said provocative my ass. Yasser Seirawan 2017.
that will go.
No, this doesn't look. No, okay. But without G5, I was just trying to see, can I, kick the king into a passive square and or potentially go for a rook endgame. But G5, I agree, is good.
It's changing the situation.
I'm just looking for,
No, you're trying with White to gain an edge. I think you're going to go rook b4 and somehow d4, d5. You've got to use your d pawn, and you can't allow knight c4 check, obviously. So you've got to put your forces to work. So okay, so I take a very basic approach. My approach is where's White's advantage, Eric?
I would say there's a bit more space, but in the center and in the center.
Slightly better active pieces,
yes.
Right? The rook is slightly better than Black.
Knight is slightly has more space.
Slightly better, but your pawn on d3 needs to be on d5. There's no other way of putting it, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So I think that White's approach has to be related to rook b4, d4, d5. And if you don't do that, you're not using your trumps. Black has to play for his trumps, which are h4 and g5. But if you play e5 and give up the f5 square, and you're never playing d3 and d4 in the position, then I think you're not using your trumps.
Right, that's true. Yeah. I'm playing with. Yeah. No, I agree that the d pawn.
You're kind of empty-handed, right?
I have a 3-on-2.
Right.
In the center, and you're right. This immobilizes it completely. But on a good day, as you said, rook b4, d4.
Well, if you give White g3, rook b4, d4, king d3, d5, Black may be lost.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
So that's why I'm thinking, black has to play, for g5, and I was trying to do it maybe in the wrong way with my rook to g8 and my rook to a5 moves. But I can see that white is going to go rook b4, d4, king d3, g3, d5, or rook b4, d4, king d3, e5, and d5.
Yeah,
And
e5 is a lot
here's,
better with the d pawn supporting it.
yeah,
So e5's not totally out of the question, out of
yeah,
consideration, but you want to adjust accordingly first.
right. So again, just to shout out to our audience, thank you so much for all joining us. I hope you like the stream from that chessbrah is doing with Eric Hansen and Aman and Robin, myself. Um, and the way you can support our stream is very, very simple. Subscribe. Get our emails and our newsletters to let you know when we're doing
Mm-hmm.
more shows. The more the merrier. It helps our advertisers um, donate and buy swag. How's the store?
It's
There's a
not
big
up yet.
demand.
It's not up yet. I'm bringing
Dude,
I'm bringing clothing to Isle of Man.
are
Uh,
you kidding? Now you're giving me more reasons to want to go to the Isle of Man.
there's gonna be Magnus. There's gonna
That's
be I'll be cooking
You'll be
I'll
what?
be cooking steak.
What?
If you come, I'll be making homemade steak.
I
I
don't I don't think I've ever you've been over at the crib here for some times. I don't think I ever saw you in the kitchen worried over a pan.
I would do that
You're
for you if you came to Isle of Man. I'm not saying I'm a great cook, but I can make I can
the
it's the
chess
effort. I think it's the effort that counts, Yasser.
Yes,
That's
it's the
that's what I'm told.
chess bra recipe book. Now, you were mentioning, by the way, this move knight b5 in an earlier slash similar position. Here, there's a big one difference in that rook ending that we were achieving for white. The pawn was still on f7, and black had king f6 kind of moves. Now, white could actually force black's king to the back rank.
Hmm.
That's important. That's important.
For sure. Now I need to be careful on how I push my pawns. Now I'm considering I do need to make some space
Right.
because king f3 is met by rook d8. I need to prepare that
Unfortunately.
properly. Rook b4 is met
Hmm.
by king f7. So the rook is well placed. It's about how do I manage this.
Everything in the nicest way, right?
Yes.
Okay. Um,
But guys, you guys heard Yasser. Subscribe. If you follow the channel, you get a notification on your phone when it goes live. We still have lots of coverage to go since this tournament has 12 more days. Goes until the 27th, I believe. But yeah,
right.
follow. It's on YouTube, on Twitch. We're getting. Somebody just said, well, now I have to subscribe because Yasser said so.
Well, again, I mean, if you like what you're seeing and enjoying, it's very, very different from the normal chessbrah stuff. Okay, let me be the
Hey,
caveman.
yes.
Let me be the caveman. D4. Let's see why D4 doesn't
No,
win.
D4 is good because you can even meet this
Rook.
move by what were you gonna do?
Well, I'm just going to go caveman. Rook C8. Go ahead. D5.
Okay,
Yeah, I was going to go caveman.
take.
Okay, you made that decision quickly. Probably the right decision, but okay, take.
Check.
And now I want to go king E4. Yay!
So
I'm pu- I'm
I
putting all my eggs on my passer, my
yeah, but
passed pawn.
you're a bit of a tricky guy because you got two entry squares.
No, I was gonna go D6. I'm caveman.
There's nothing caveman about getting a new queen.
That's pretty caveman. Rook takes G7. Gift me the pawn. Ooh, Eric with the trickies. Eric with the trickies. Pause. My spidey sense is not.
Not tingling. You're starting to run out of pawns.
I'm running out of. But your king is a little bit funky, isn't it? So rook a7, rook g2.
Rook where, sorry? Rook a7?
Yeah, rook a7. Yeah. Rook g2.
Now
King
f5 is
f5.
forced. And now I think I'm just
Yes.
going to go here. Thought that was the simplest way to draw because I do pull your
Mhm.
rook out and I get my king to d7. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. So yeah, I was going caveman there, and
Direct? No, you need to calculate the caveman variations first since they're the most forcing.
exactly. Yes, that is true.
You don't look like a
So
caveman though.
this is
Pardon me?
but I try at heart I am the caveman, but I try to wear a mask of being civilized.
Ah. Well, you used to have the
Really,
mustache and a lot more, poofier hair, bigger hair, a bit closer.
right. Yeah, no, I mean, I sit down at a huge spread with, 20 people with a big table. I want to be the caveman and just go, grab all the food as quickly as possible. But I actually try to share. I try to be a little refined.
Mm.
Okay, so what is Peter Spidler thinking about? Perhaps rook h4?
Rook
No,
h4
that was
just
the draw. That was the draw we saw before. Yes, rook b2, rook there, rook back, rook
and
b2,
it's
and
not
rook
even
d2.
not even a
Yeah,
good not even a good not even a good way of drawing, yeah.
no. So, well, rook h5, rook b8, rook h4, rook b3 is nothing. That's just nothing, nothing, nothing to look at all.
Nothing.
I I think yeah, since those
Okay,
variations
let's
get
go
us
check.
nowhere,
Let's go back to this.
let's go check again.
Okay, now
Yeah, let's go
gotta.
back to caveman.
Okay, so by the way, they're past move 40, but we're still here. We're still here.
No,
So it's
no,
move
no,
40 though.
I don't think they're past move
Oh, they're
40.
not.
Or
Yeah, they
they're
are. They
on.
are. No, they're move
Okay,
41 now.
okay, then we'll take a break and we'll
You
be
sure?
back in.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, we'll be back
we'll
in
be
10
back
minutes.
to analyze this rook end game, which at least I can analyze better than a rook and bishop end game, which are beyond me. Rook end games are more
Oh,
practical. Always study rook
yes,
end
no,
games more.
yeah. All right, we'll be back. Oh, wow. And he said, I'm
Guys,
trying to
I
be
can hear
provocative.
Yasser.
I started laughing. I said, provocative my ass.
Feels bad. No, it's been a lot of fun. So we're just taking a quick break. I'm gonna. Yeah, Yasser's still laughing at me in the back. He is still laughing at me right now. He's having too much. It's tough being a comment. You guys hear that? It's like, it's really tough. It's tough on me. That's what I get. No, I unmuted the mic on purpose. Yasser's the culprit. So you guys hear behind the scenes Yasser's laughing at me. Anyways, I want to thank the brand new subs to the channel. AB Hugar, Flames for You, Ja Pastafari, and Colden N. Thanks, guys, for the subscriptions. It supports the channel, supports us bringing guys like Yasser aboard and doing maybe more of this in the future. So, big thanks for that. We'll be back shortly to analyze this. Well, they agreed to a draw. What the heck? They agreed to a draw. I'll be right back since Yasser's not here, but well, that's disappointing. Boo. So I might have to try to. Oh, Pizga Patzer. Thank you for the subscription. You were before. I missed you. I am sorry. So now that the games are done, I might have to challenge Yasser to some blitz because he's been trash talking me today. Might have to try to redeem myself. I'll be right back though. Thanks for watching again. Stay tuned. We're not leaving yet. Be back shortly. So today's results: Svedler drawing MVL, Maxim Vachilegrad. Fedoseev against Wesley So was a quick draw. Yeah, Yasser's still laughing at me in the background. He's not here yet. Richard Rapport drew Dingley Ren, a very short draw there. And Aronian killed Ivanchuk, who sort of asked for it by, well, he got caught in the opening and also spent an absurd amount of time in the first few moves and was just in a dire situation on the clock. In already a very bad chess position, but it was just a really, really, really poor game by Ivanchuk. So 4 games each day. The field's definitely dwindling, and we can feel it because today it's only been 3 hours and all the games are done. So a much shorter day. We're gonna be back tomorrow, of course. The first rest day doesn't start until Monday, which would be the semifinals. But yeah, Ivanchuk does have white tomorrow at least. Needs to win every other game, every other match. Well, I definitely think we're going to see some tie breaks. The players seem pretty hesitant. If you have any questions, I might be able to squeeze in some for Das Yasser. A bit surprised that Svidler took a draw here when it's only white who can be better, and just I would accept a draw immediately if I was playing black here. Just visually, it's just like your king is cut off, your rook is a bit worse. There's only one side that can be better. White's preferable, and there's no risk. There's no risk in my opinion. So it seems a little premature, but the game was definitely trending closer to a draw. Still, I don't know. At least I would be afraid if I was playing black. I might be missing something. Hello, Yasser. Oh, he's still not there.
Hey, Eric, I'm back.
Hello, yeah. Just as you left, they actually agreed to a draw.
Oh no! I was settling myself in for the meat and potatoes of
Am I the
chess.
am I the
No,
potatoes?
chess professionalism. No, chess professionalism is really about rook and pawn endings. And I was thinking, okay, what kind of rook and pawn endgame are we going to see? They agreed to a draw.
And you know what's interesting? White offered the draw. Rook b7 with a draw offer. And I was telling the audience while you were away, I would have taken the draw immediately. I would have extended my hand and held on to it. Like, you offer me a draw as black. My king is cut off. I'm a bit more passive. That is just an automatic. Like you're losing your arm.
Yes.
How can white be the one offering a draw? I mean, I guess Peter sees something and he's upset with how he's converted, and he sees this is closer to a draw. But shouldn't this be played on for white, or just, I mean, force black to suffer a little bit?
Of course. Well, absolutely. Here's one line that I would definitely be calculating. King f8, d.
Sorry, king f8, d4.
Yeah, rook c8. Yes, king d2. c4.
Rook c4? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
So you're cutting out.
Rook,
Sorry, rook c4?
Sorry, rook c4, rook b4.
Not king d3 with tempo.
Not king d3 with tempo. But this is just a king opponent. Now, I could be losing. I could be winning. I don't know. Yeah, okay. That was the question, g5. So I take it, of course. Take, push, king, push, and nothing to discuss. Two bridesmaids there. Yep. Oops.
Two bridesmaids. I like that.
Yeah. And they're going for coronation. Okay, so go back to the position where you played rook c4, and we have to see some caveman approach for white. King d3, the tempo you mentioned. Yeah, yeah. King d2. Now here, by the way, if you don't play the move rook c4, then I'm strategically thinking, I'm threatening either rook a7 or rook b4. So I think rook c4 is box. By box, of course, I mean it.
Oh, sorry. I want to revisit this. Take, and now I did g5.
Yeah, and that won.
People are screaming at me. They're saying e5? What is this e5?
People are screaming at you e5. Oh, I know what they're screaming about. If you go g5, I'll go...
Oh, sorry. I'm going to play that out for you. One moment.
Yes. G5, I'm going to go b5.
Oh, right. Yeah, you took originally.
Right. b6.
King here. And now e5.
No, b7. Get that guy.
b7. And what are you going to do? You're going to queen, or are you going
to... e5. And then you're going to take on e5, and I'm going to take on g5.
Yeah.
And I got you. my bright. Oops. Oh, no, 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 no. Hold on, Eric. I think I had a king c1 somewhere. So yeah, take a3, king c1.
Nice.
Yeah, and now b8 check.
There you go.
Yeah, and I got the tempo
Yep.
I need. Sweet, right?
Yep.
So I'm just
Those are
saying,
fun to look at.
well, I was going to settle myself down and look at those. But the audience screamed at you, rook b4, rook takes b4, e5. Ooh,
I don't know if
okay.
that's what they were saying. I don't think that's what they were saying. I mean, e5 was in that line we just looked at. That was the e5.
Okay,
They
so
didn't they never specify the they just shout, they're
oof.
just like, in the crowd. It's like in Spartacus, they're in the Colosseum, they're just screaming and shouting. I don't know always the exact moment. I just try to figure it out. I
By
know
the
that when
way,
they say Patzer though, who they're referring to. Or when they say get that guy out of the screen, I also know who they're referring to.
when you say Spartacus, man, you're hitting close to heart. You're hitting home. You know, Spartacus. We love that series. Um,
Yeah.
okay, so sorry, this actually turns out to be a kind of funky king and pawn endgame. Maybe we have to look at it some more. I mean, it's fun.
Yes, okay, we'll do it. Okay, so king f8, d4, rook
Correct.
c8,
King d2.
king d2.
No, covering all the business squares on the c file and threatening rook b4. Now, again, I could be losing this with white, but uh, tell me how and why.
So, is there anything silly about this approach? Take. I assume you're playing d5, right?
Just a second. Let me go back to e5 move for a second, because that really is a surprising move for me.
Okay, I'm just, well, now that we're in analysis mode, I'm
Yes.
feeling like I can try
Okay,
things
we'll,
out.
we'll, we'll leave e5 for a second because I'm just actually kind of blitzed about this king and pawn endgame for a moment. Can we just see that? Because the king and pawn endgame was actually a little bit more fun than I expected it to be. So if you had played rook c4, rook b4, could we just look see? Yeah, rook takes b4, he takes. Now here, what the heck is going on, Eric?
Well, I believe e5 is a threat for white because then I can play king c3, and you're not getting
Right,
any passers.
that's right. So, um,
As long as I can stop g5, white is winning,
white is winning, right?
right?
That's, yeah, yeah. Okay, so what, how does black defend again?
I I think I didn't see a way. This looked if g5
You
doesn't work, e5's coming in.
exactly. Whoa, that's kind of confounding, isn't it? Wouldn't you be surprised? Uh,
Sorry. Okay,
I,
let's look at this. Okay, so I play king e7.
and I guess I'm playing e5.
Okay, so take king here.
Okay, now I'll go b5, right? King, king, push, take, take, and let's just finish the line king b3. I have a sneaky hunch that this is good for who? Probably good for, well, g6. Okay, king. Yeah, king. Well, no, yeah, okay, king f3.
No, can you just box me out?
Well, I was going to go take the pawn on g6. I mean, I'm in caveman mode. King up to g4. You gotta be careful. Okay, king up. Okay. If I take on g6, you take on f4, I go king f6, you go king g3, and we both queen. Is that the way it works?
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, okay. It's a pity, right, that the players didn't play on. This could have been a fun story. So, yeah, so this is but it's all forcing, right? It's a forced line of play. And here you were saying king d2, e5.
Sorry,
Not,
we
yes, please.
we didn't calculate everything out. So
No, of course not. We didn't. We're not even close.
so king here.
Okay, let me try b5 again, just for fun's sake.
b5, g5.
Well, now I'm into b6 mode, right?
Yeah, sorry,
And
here.
right, to sidestep e5. Now, what's king? Wow, this is really.
Is this a move, Yasser? Because
yes,
I think I have this move, and I get the two passers.
Well, right. Yeah, I'm winning.
So take king here, king. Oh, sorry,
No,
sorry. No. This is what I meant. That's what I meant.
Yes, of course.
And
Yes.
then I return the king.
Now the pawns on f5 and g2 lock you down. Wow. This is funny. There's some great stuff going on in this king and pawn endgame that really I would encourage the audience after our show to really look this over and see if you can find the winning ideas for both sides.
It's a pity. It's a pity.
I think our audience, pardon me, was suggesting not to play the move rook c4, but to play e5 in that position.
Okay. So take.
Now, yeah, you did that, and I'm not quite so sure, Eric.
Okay.
I'm not quite so sure. So if we take with the other guy, d4 takes, and takes an f5, but now I'm just locked out. Rook c4. What's this king and pawn? No, oh, sorry. I was going to play the king and pawn endgame again for white. Can I play rook b4?
You can.
Take, king, 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 king. No, maybe I can't. King e7, right? Or I can. King d6. This I lose. Or
that's a draw, right?
It's a draw.
We both shuffle.
But the question was king c4. King d6, king c4.
Oh, this one.
I
well,
guess
king c7
well.
makes no difference, right?
Right. b5 check, yes. I guess it's a draw as well because we just both block one another out. Wow. Hold on. The game's not over yet. King d3, king d4, king e3, king there, king f3, king there, king g4 takes, king g5.
Well, I have at least a draw in hand, right?
No, I think you're winning.
Yeah.
I think you're winning. Yeah. Well, why are you winning? Why do you have a draw in hand?
Well, I thought I had this move.
King takes h4.
Uh-huh.
And g4, e4, and
well, now this is good for me.
Now you're winning. Wonderful stuff, Eric. Wonderful stuff. Well, I'm really surprised by the draw offer. I thought that white was better. And like you said, if I was on the black side, you're losing your arm on an instant handshake.
Eric,
Kings.
b5 instead of king c4 wins for white. I don't know. Anyways,
Oh,
what?
sorry. Go ahead and read the comment to
Well, it
me.
said it's somebody's saying b5 instead of king c4. I didn't quite understand it, but
We may have a wrong position.
yeah.
King d2, king d2. Yeah, rook's at king d4, king d2, e5. Black plays e5. Take, take, take. And the gentleman was saying b5 instead of king c4.
Yeah, and I don't see the difference.
Well, here you go king c5 and you win. So we probably have the wrong move number
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something.
yeah. It's just hard to follow.
Wow. Well, Eric, it's not been the most exciting round. We had a near walkover in the game between Levon and Vasily. Vasily just didn't show up. Two draws and Peter Svidler having frittered away what looked to me to be a massive advantage. Could we remind the audience where we thought uh, Peter went wrong and we were confused by his move a4? I think that was back around move 25 or so. Yeah, there it is. So it was move 26 that we were confused by his move a4. We both very strongly felt that Peter should have just played the direct rook h1, bishop takes h4, knight takes c5, knight takes c5, rook takes c5, rook takes c5, and white is enjoying himself a lot.
I'm trying to even figure out if maybe black should have kept, but it still looks bad. I mean, you give the seventh, so no. This
Yeah.
is definitely very pleasant for white, and definitely looks better than what happened in the game.
By the way, the other reason why I'm very attracted to this specific line is when we think about black trying to create a passed kingside pawn with h5, g5, h4, g4, our rook across the fifth rank just puts the kibosh on any of those
Mm-hmm.
attempts. And white might even get a chance to play g4 and just shut black down.
For
And
sure. Just like
yeah,
this, just like that.
just like this. Yeah. And this is just really nice. I mean, really nice because we see d4 and white's king in the center is comfy.
Yeah, no, I mean I don't know what Peter missed. Maybe he'll talk about it after the match or in an interview. But
Yeah.
unless we're missing something here, this looked like by far the most natural continuation too. I mean, something. I think he missed Rook B8. I think it was a tactical detail that we mentioned right here.
Yes.
It was the move Rook
And that was.
C to B8. White is
Mhm.
temporarily up a pawn, but Knight B5 can't be stopped. I think Peter missed this, and that's what makes the most sense. Because otherwise, the other line is no risk, great endgame.
Exactly. Wow. So a very big missed opportunity here for Peter Svidler as this first round of the quarterfinals, round five, uh, is in the history books. Um, what to say? I
Who's your favorite?
personally,
Who's playing the best
in,
chess?
who's playing the best? Well, I was I was going to say Vasily Ivanchuk, but after today, his stock dropped about 100 points. Levon, he's cruising nicely, and gosh knows that in Levon's case, most especially, he needs to qualify via the World Cup because he's got no other than a wild card,
He did poorly in
which
the Grand Prix.
exactly, and he's not even close in the rating sweepstakes. So it's here or bust, or maybe wild card. But he is or has been a resident of Berlin. We have been told that Berlin is going to be the organizer for the candidates tournament. Yay. That's just down the
Mm,
road.
Berlin will be the host city, but the organizer
Host
will
city.
be Aegon and the sponsors will be Russian. So I'm not. I wouldn't say organizer because
Okay.
it's not
You're
they're
right.
not German organizers.
That's right. You're right.
It'll be the host city with Russian sponsorship and Russian organizers.
Exactly. Correct.
Funny how that works.
Exactly. Um, Now, well, after this move, Rook B8, I think MVL was actually happy with his position. Well, happy is relative. He was still worse. And even in that final position, let me just put up the final position because, again, I just find it difficult to understand why Peter would offer a draw here.
He would
As
offer,
you were
right? Like it's like the better
right,
side.
his king's more active, his rook is more active. Why offer a draw here? I'm uh, I'm confused. I'm definitely confused. And let me ask you just finally one final question, and we'll put the broadcast to rest.
Yes.
After the move King F8,
Yes.
imagine White had played Rook B4. Ah, yeah, Rook B4. I'm. Oh, you're gonna do that. Oh, you're gonna do that. Huh. Okay, I was gonna go D4.
What were you gonna do as black?
Uh, I'm not sure
You
what
said
I
I thought
thought
king. I thought getting my king off the back rank.
makes a lot of sense, of
Yeah.
course. I thought you were gonna go Rook G5, but okay.
Well,
King F,
yeah. I would play rook G5. Or you
yeah.
said,
I
sorry.
thought you were going to play Rook G5. Rook A5 to
Oh.
play G5,
Oh.
sorry.
Okay. Okay.
Um, but if you play King F7, can I can I now transpose back to the good variation with D4 or not?
Which good variation?
I
Well,
don't know
now
what.
now I have a couple of questions, whether it's pertaining to E5 or trying to get my king out, like here.
Okay.
Is it rook
Rook
B6 now?
Rook
Yeah.
B6
So I
is
wasn't I wasn't
line.
sure here. So let's say I go E5.
Okay, fair enough. But here, once again, I
Check.
think it's white putting the question to
It,
black.
well, yeah. No, I wouldn't have offered a draw. I can tell you that. I don't.
You
It's
don't,
not an
you,
immediate draw to me. It's not
how,
clear to me.
how did you describe it? You break your opponent's arm in your eagerness to accept
Yes,
his
yes, yes.
offer.
I'm not. I'm taking that arm home with me. You know,
Nice.
I really would. I flipped the board to show people that if
Yeah,
somebody offered a draw in this position,
and you're black.
yeah, I'm just, yes.
And I'm sitting there saying, more active king, more active rook, uh, imbalance in the pawn structure that's not terribly unfavorable for white. I think I'd be playing here. I wouldn't be making a draw for. So what could he have been scared? Where's the scaredness?
I think he's frustrated with his technique, Yasser, and he saw some lines that seem closer to a draw. But I think it's a combination. He's down 30 minutes on the clock, at 30 minutes to an hour. Frustrated with how he's been playing, and he didn't see a clear breakthrough. And he also had a lot of respect for MVL. But
We all
Peter,
respect one
I
another.
mean,
Yeah.
I mean,
Actually, Peter has a
yes,
reputation
he
of
has a
resigning.
reputation of resigning
Of
early, and
resigning.
also,
Yeah.
and also just being frustrated with himself, and you know, early. You could just say
Yes.
early, just to generalize.
Hmm. Okay. There's another line that now I'm just thinking about. Uh, King F8. Eric, go ahead. King F8.
You're
Rook B4. Rook A5. For uh, and I'm thinking King F3. I'm trying to force you to play G5. Maybe you do or do not want to play G5. I'm not sure. If you,
I'll
yeah,
play G5, yeah, sir. Yep.
Okay.
You're making me happy, by the way.
I don't know. Am I? D4?
Take.
King takes. Okay. What is the... Yeah,
This to me seems
E5.
like a clear draw because pawns have been traded, and e5. I'll give a check. I'll take and put my
Yes.
rook back.
Yes, exactly.
You're,
Okay, fair enough. This one, but this one also is a clear draw, but black played some good moves to get it, right?
yeah, no, without a doubt, black has to play. No, no, no. Like, if black plays badly or incorrectly, yeah, he's the one on the he's backpedaling and
Yeah.
no, I
Okay. I think that it was a premature draw offer. We'll leave it at that. Eric, we're going to be back tomorrow.
that's right. Tomorrow
For
it's probably Amon because tonight we're hosting season opener party here. You're invited in Montreal,
and you,
and I
what's the season?
oh
Season
just
opener.
we're in the area
Uh,
by McGill University. The school just started the chess club, which is quite active
ah,
here. It's just
I,
kicking
I
off.
I thought you meant it was elk season or something.
Yes, no, you'd be hunting. Elk hunting. No,
I mean, let me let me get the ammo. Uh,
no.
no, it's the new season for school.
Yeah.
Oh, very good, very
And we're
nice.
headed out of town next weekend for Isle of Man. So it's a housewarming party since we have a new place and it's our first time showing that off.
Brilliant, brilliant.
And so I'll be hosting. So there's probably it'll be Amon tomorrow. Amon's now getting into tournament mode because he's the Isle of
Yes,
Man's. Speaking of hunting season, it is hunting season for Amon. Isle of Man is a great tournament in terms of
and
finding
he's hunting GM norms,
the
correct?
final norm. Yeah,
Yeah, very good. Well,
you know
our thoughts, our best thoughts and best well wishes are with him in his striving for the Grandmaster title.
there was this idea. Yeah, sorry, I forgot to
Yes.
mention. People thought you were ganging up on me today and that I should try to exact revenge on you.
Oh no, you're gonna bring out a specialist?
No, 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 no. I meant in the fantasy line is like I beat you up in blitz. I rough you up a little bit.
I would love to. Uh, I, Earlier, before we came on the broadcast, Yvette and I went out to do washer and dryer shopping. My God, who knew that there were so many models for washers and dryers? We ended up purchasing from a brand called AEG. Probably that's unfamiliar to non-Europeans, but I couldn't believe they have washers now that do dry cleaning,
No, I
steam
did.
cleaning.
I didn't.
Me either. I mean, I'm learning the latest and greatest in washing and drying machine. Then they have a dryer that can do silks and wool. Again,
That's advanced.
that's advanced, man. I'm telling you, we're on the cutting edge of washer dryer technology. So we did that, but then I had another problem. The other problem was the store was one of these humongous stores, with all the electronic stuff. They had big LED TV screens, the monster screens, the theater type screens. And I got mesmerized and I saw a particular model where it was like unbelievably cheap. I'm thinking €1,000 for a screen that is, like a wall.
You're talking about like 72 inches, something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Was it the
And
curve type? Because that's
yeah,
coming
the
out. It
curve,
was the curve.
right.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
I have to
And
go
I'm
TV
sitting
shopping.
and I'm sitting there going, you see, the fear for me though, Eric, if I go out, I buy that theater style TV. I mean, I'm a movie buff. I love movies. I'd end up like, giving up on chess. Like seeing every old classic that I absolutely dearly love, in this theater style. So My spidey sense was tingling the moment I walked into the shop, and I
What?
was on a mission for washer and dryer.
w- No, that's one thing I like about North America because the stores are so big that you can just
Yeah.
get lost in the Walmart, and I love shopping, so I do go to Future Shop or sorry Best Buy, and well I have to buy a TV, so it's gonna be something on my to do list.
Well, for your
Um,
new digs, right?
for the new digs, a wall mounted television, so we can watch Netflix. Um,
Yes,
but I
indeed.
have to say that
Especially,
was the best transition, the best uh,
well,
diversion ever witnessed, I think, by
well,
anyone here. Do you want to,
well,
let's talk about
that was
Blitz?
how. That was why I was making an excuse that I couldn't. I'd let you know me. I'd love to beat you up at all times a day. I just have this thing that I've been doing before the broadcast that now I got to complete now that the broadcast is completed. So, in other words, I'm going to play you Blitz, not today, but beatings will commence in 26 hours.
Very impressive how we talked about dishwashers. Though I have to say, like, I've been challenged a few times. I've come up with different, like, that was well played. As I,
Thank you.
you've told so many good stories that it somehow feels authentic.
Yeah, well, beatings will commence until morale improves. That's where we go. By
For
the
sure.
way, how did Lasta, how did Hikaru and Ian Nepo finally end up? Because they
Yasser
were
12 to
exercising.
4.
Pardon me?
Hikaru won 12 to 4. I mean, this guy is just a
Oh,
monster.
he went on a rampage at the end.
Yeah.
Because I think it was close. I
5
think it
to
was
4.
5-4. Ooh, Hikaru really put his foot down. People do not do that to Nepo, by the way. I mean, he's a really, really good blitz player. That's an impressive
Hikaru
achievement.
beat me the other day 17 to 3. I started off
Oh,
one and a half, and
hmm
I was winning that half, and I was probably winning the next 5 games in a row. I mean, like, conversion wise, end game, winning, and I lost all of them. Uh, so 17 to 3, it was okay. That's 15%. I think I could have, well, should
improved.
have been a lot
Yeah.
better, but the important thing is I didn't get adopted. If you win 10 in a row against somebody, I think you rightfully transfer possession and they own you. He's never adopted me.
That's
No, that's always been
that's
our
the
policy, by the way.
adoption.
We actually always have had that rule amongst each other and friends. Uh, so Hikaru's not my daddy yet. He won 8 in a row, and then I got a draw in a winning position. So that's the good thing. The tilt was bad, but 10 in a row isn't that fair? If you lose 10 in a row, 10 blitz games in a row in a session,
It,
I mean
you're
that
adopted.
is possession to me.
Right, that is possession. I once did that in Bermuda. I was playing a match with
Mickey Adams.
Mickey Adams, and I have lost the match. And I had these demons, so to speak. I really wanted to get the bitter taste out of my mouth. And there was two Frenchmen, Nataf,
Yeah, Igor
Nataf,
Nataf. Yeah.
Igor Nataf, and Etienne Bacro. And we started playing 1 minute chess together, and I beat Etienne 10 in a row. I didn't realize I was adopting him at the time.
No, you did, and it was young Etienne. No.
Yes, it was, of course, this was
That's when
young.
you. That's when
Yeah,
you. No, no. That it's very
young Nataf.
reasonable. 10 in a row is very demoralizing, and it definitely counts.
Right.
No, so
Okay.
you do have more kids than you thought.
Now I know. Now
No,
I
no.
know. All right, Eric. Good chatting. Good show. Everybody, have a good night, good evening, wherever you may be, and we will see you tomorrow for Game 2 of Round 5, the quarterfinals.
See you tomorrow, Yasser.
All
7
right.
a.m.
Cheers.
Cheers. All right. Thanks everybody for watching. Make sure to follow the channel on YouTube if you want to see the archives of these streams or some other Blitz things. We'll be back tomorrow. Remember, 7 a.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central European Time for the second game, where people will be facing elimination. Do try to subscribe one of these days. It'll make my day. It'll get you more Yasser stories. But either way, I'm very happy that people are just tuning in and staying with us for 4 or 5 hours every single day. That's a big time commitment. And I'm glad to see you guys are sticking with us, because without the crowd, we obviously wouldn't do this. That was the whole point. So thank you. Have a good Friday, everybody. See you tomorrow. And yeah, bye for now.